Birds flew on that peaceful day at the Superpower Academy. A guy walked, and he got the other students' attention as he laughed by himself, proclaimed that something was still not surrendering. It was Ning Feng, and he played a mobile game where he was already legendary, asserted that with such a big advantage, no one could tell him how to lose. Suddenly, someone raised their hand. The hand belonged to a girl, and Ning Feng groaned in pain as she hit him across the face with it. The girl was named Wang Yu, and she scolded Ning Feng, inquired him what he was doing when the awakening exam was about to happen. Yet instead of preparing, he was there playing games. Ning Feng admitted embarrassingly that it was a combination of work and rest, and besides, he was already 18 years old, so he would awaken into a 1 or 2 star ordinary profession at most. Wang Yu looked pissed as Ning Feng explained that he was unlike her, who awakened a 5-star profession at 16, so there was no reason for him to work hard because he could just rely on her coattails in the future. Wang Yu wrapped her arms around Ning Feng's neck, and she affirmed that she would let him rely on her. Ning Feng turned pale, and he exclaimed that he was choking, while the other students around recognized Wang Yu as the goddess, and they remarked that she must have returned from special training. The students were in awe as Wang Yu had awakened a 5-star profession at 16 and the province hasn't produced such a genius in many years. She is beautiful, wealthy, and talented, and they observed that the gap between people is too wide. While Wang Yu confiscated Ning Feng's phone and Ning Feng tried to get it from her, the other student questioned who was next to Wang Yu, and another student replied that it was the infamous trash of the school who was about to turn 18, but still hasn't awakened, Ning Feng. The students watched as Wang Yu dragged Ning Feng, and one of them couldn't help but criticize, questioning how someone like Wang Yu, a nice beauty, could hang out with such a person. And the other student mentioned that he heard that they had been childhood friends, but he realized that Ning Feng was from an orphanage, so he wondered how someone like that could match up a childhood friend like Wang Yu. They were in a world where games and reality merge, Blue Star, and in there, as long as someone is over 16, they have the chance to awaken abilities and become an adventurer. They could either have strength, agility, magic, or support. And at the National Adventurer Awakening exam, someone briefed the students on the exam rules. The students were informed that the next awakening miracle could be them. Ning Feng was one of them, but he looked so unenthusiastic, and he commented on what was up with Wang Yu being so serious again when it was his 3rd time taking the exam, so he was not a rookie. The examiner in front directed the students to go to the testing area at the front for assessment if they were called, and she announced that students who successfully awaken will receive a set of basic equipment for their profession to prepare for practical testing. Ning Feng looked so bored and uninterested while one of the students wished they could awaken as a mage. Another preferred strength professions because real men confront head-on. Another admired agility professions because they kill without a trace. And another student confessed that they don't understand that support professions are the most popular. Suddenly, Ning Feng, who was from class 2 of grade 3, was called, and he responded that he was there. As he walked forward, the other students sneered at him as they recognized him as the legendary figure senior from grade 3, whom they thought to be powerful as he was always following Wang Yu, yet he hasn't awakened at 18. And they murmured that if he couldn't awaken that time, he really is a waste. Ning Feng knew the examiner, Kai Wai, and as he acknowledged her, she encouraged not to be nervous and informed him that they would begin when he was ready. Kai Wai instructed Ning Feng to place his hand on the crystal and relax his mind, which Ning Feng followed. Ning Feng placed his hand on the crystal and waited. The crystal didn't have a reaction when he touched it, but Ning Feng continued to wait, and he was surprised when he felt something. The other students were as surprised as Ning Feng when the crystal glowed and released a smaller crystal above it. Ning Feng revealed that the crystal was reacting, so he must be able to awaken. And the blue light represents the magic system. But Kai Wai was looking at Ning Feng with a worried look on her face while the surprised looks of the other students turned back into sneers. Ning Feng concluded that, as expected, awakening would automatically teach initial skills, so next he would see how many stars of profession could be awakened. The smaller crystal glowed on top of his head, and Ning Feng was surprised when the system informed him that he had awakened a 1-star and learned the skill, Mud Marsh Technique. Kai Wai expressed regret that it was only a 1-star result. On the other hand, the other students burst into laughter, mocked that they thought Ning Feng was going to defy fate. But it turns out to be just 1 star, and they urged him to hurry down because standing there is embarrassing because garbage is garbage, so he shouldn't think that he could turn himself into gold. Kai Wai inquired Ning Feng what skill he had awakened. Ning Feng seemed out of it because Kai Wai had to call his name before he realized, and he had no idea what she just stated. Kai Wai looked so worried as she lamented that, from the looks of it, Ning Feng seemed to have suffered a big blow. As Ning Feng walked away, Kai Wai noted that after all that silence for so long, in the end, he was still just a 1-star. A few moments later, someone handed Ning Feng his equipment and guided him to change into it and move on to the next stage. As he grabbed his equipment, Ning Feng looked troubled as he pondered if he really did not mishear things. He recalled that after awakening, another system notified Ning Feng that he had met the system activation conditions. And as he wondered what system it was, the system announced that it had successfully activated. So he gained the passive abilities Dark Kinship that could prevent him from suffering a backlash from dark power and could make him use Forbidden Time without any cost, and Mystery Gift that enables him to release forbidden spells once a week without consumption. Ning Feng looked so horrified when he heard about the dark power as he recognized that it was the most evil power in their world. And forbidden spells are the highest level of magic, so he pondered what the connection was with him. Suddenly, the system detected the skill Mud Marsh technique, and it declared that it would begin transformation, which made Ning Feng inquire what transformation was. But instead of answering his question, the system confirmed that the transformation was complete and the Mud Marsh technique had transformed into the Forbidden Curse, Foul Earth Shell. Ning Feng looked so puzzled when he heard that, and that was why he was out of it earlier. Ning Feng acknowledged that darkening and forbidden spells didn't sound too good, but he still had the practical test, so he hoped that nothing would go wrong. As the students who have just awakened stood in front of a portal, someone directed them that 50 people would enter in groups, each battling monsters in the realm to familiarize themselves with their newly awakened skills. But candidates are not allowed to form teams or attack each other, and unmanned drones will supervise. Kai Wai requested that Ning Feng confirm his skills as soon as possible, reassuring him not to worry because others won't see them. And while Ning Feng was changing into his equipment, he was observing the system screen that was displaying his active skill, Foul Earth Shell, which is a dark forbidden spell that summons the dark power from another world to form a protective shield and is capable of crushing all approaching enemies. When Ning Feng read that his skill was a dark forbidden spell, he voiced concerns that those words sounded very dangerous, and he was worried that it was some evil spell because he would be in trouble if someone found out. Suddenly, someone commanded them, the candidates, to enter the arena, and Ning Feng was fuming as he was demanding the system in his mind to give him an explanation, and he labeled it a dog system. Ning Feng entered the portal to the arena. They were transported into a luscious forest where the weather was tranquil. But looking closely at the forest, it was filled with chaos as the candidates fought with goblins left and right. Other candidates were even caught off guard as the goblins attacked them. Meanwhile, Ning Feng was hiding behind the bushes and observing the goblins. Ning Feng lowered his head to further hide himself when the goblins passed by him. He muttered that the entire exam venue is monitored by drones, so he dares not use the forbidden spells casually. But he doesn't have any other means of attack, so he will have to hide and wait for an opportunity. Ning Feng continued to hide while the drone was still hovering above him. The man who was monitoring the feed questioned what Ning Feng was doing, noting that everyone else was leveling up by killing monsters. Kai Wai responded that Ning Feng awakened relatively late, wasn't in good health, and had a defensive spell as the only activated skill, so he was not very suitable for solo combat. Captain Zhu was advising Kai Wai to call Ning Feng out as there was no need for him to continue the exam because, after all, it was just a 1-star profession, so he couldn't become a real candidate. When the man behind him exclaimed in surprise, Captain Zhu quickly asked the man what was going on, and the man reported anxiously that he didn't know. But it seems like the drone was attacked, and the feed was cut off. The system issued an alert that unusually high power fluctuations were detected in the realm, and Captain Zhu ordered the man to hurry and investigate to find out what was happening. Meanwhile, at the arena, the drone was smoking, and it crashed on the ground. One of the candidates expressed horror, asking how there could be such powerful monsters in the exam venue. A menacing goblin was grinning in front of him, and it was flaunting its sharp weapon. He called to rise, referring to his brethren, and urged them to obey his command so they wouldn't be enslaved any longer. The menacing goblin raised his arm and commanded the other goblins to let the invaders die there. A drone arrived and caught how the menacing goblin was hyping the other goblins. Suddenly, the menacing goblin threw a punch in the air, and even though his punch didn't reach the drone, it exploded up in the air. The drone crashed into the bushes and hit Ning Feng on the head, which made him wonder why it fell. Suddenly, Ning Feng froze when he noticed something. He was surprised when he found himself surrounded by a group of goblins. The menacing goblin was there, and he chuckled as he mused that there was actually a little bug there. Ning Feng was contemplating why there were so many monsters gathering, and the one in the middle seemed to be an elite leader, when two goblins charged at Ning Feng as the elite leader ordered them. But Ning Feng realized that the drone was gone, so he smiled and asserted that it was a great opportunity because he could finally test if the forbidden spell was real. Ning Feng raised his hand to perform the skill. A dark aura swirled underneath his feet and surged out of his hand. The elite leader was startled when he saw what Ning Feng did. Ning Feng was startled when undead creatures crawled out of the ground below his feet. Meanwhile, at the command center, the man informed Captain Zhu that all screens had lost connection and there was a leakage of dark power that occurred in the realm, which was suspected to be a king level or above monster appearing. And when Captain Zhu heard the report, he immediately summoned reinforcements and commanded to evacuate all non-combatants nearby. Kai Wai was alarmed when she learned about the king level or above monster because that is a disaster capable of destroying a city, and she pondered why such a terrifying presence would be in the exam venue. On the other hand, the elite leader looked so surprised and terrified that he was stammering and sweating profusely. Ning Feng continued to release the dark aura, and the undead creatures began attacking the goblins. Meanwhile, Ning Feng was not paying attention to the fight as he was busy checking out what the forbidden spells looked like, and he noted that it was kind of gross and sticky looking that it gave him a scare. Suddenly, the system notified him that he had killed a goblin minion, so he had gained 10 experience. And the same notification popped up over and over again as the undead continued to eliminate the goblin minions. On the other hand, the elite leader was pointing out how powerful that power of darkness was, and he questioned how it was possible when Ning Feng was human. He noticed that his movements were slowing down, and when he checked below his feet, he was startled when he saw the hands of the undead about to grab him, and they were getting closer. As he got wrapped around in the dark aura, the elite leader threatened them not to come any closer, but the dark aura continued to surge, and as his scream filled the area, the system alerted Ning Feng that he had killed a goblin vanguard, so he gained 6,000 experience. Seeing his character information, Ning Feng was so hyped when he saw that he earned 10 levels in one go, and he exclaimed that in previous years' practical tests, the candidates could only level up by 1 or 2 levels at most. Ning Feng remarked that, however, the experience points from the small monsters were all very low, and the level up mainly relied on that elite monster from earlier. But as he talked about it, he began to question how there could be elite monsters appearing in the exam venue. While Ning Feng was still lost in his thoughts, items began to drop on the ground. He quickly recognized that it was the loot dropped by the elite monster, and he looked so surprised that both of them were orange quality items. One of them was the Vanguard Mark, a consumable, orange quality item that gives a permanent plus 10 agility attribute. And when Ning Feng saw that it gave permanent attribute enhancement marks, he observed that he had never seen anything like that before. But orange quality is already an epic level treasure, so they were definitely very valuable. The other item was Shadow Butcher's Claw, which is an orange level weapon, and when Ning Feng saw it, he voiced his excitement that although he can't use the claw, orange equipment could still sell for a lot of money. Ning Feng looked so pumped up as he declared that at that rate, he could easily level up by killing monsters, and he chuckled as he was finally going to get rich. Suddenly, an announcement was made, telling all the candidates to immediately abandon the test and use the teleport scroll to evacuate. And when Ning Feng heard it, he pondered what was happening. Ning Feng noticed the dark aura that was wafting around him, and he was startled and horrified when he looked around. As he questioned why it was so desolate around him, he got concerned when he suspected that it was the power of the forbidden curse, and seeing all those dark, ominous holes on the ground, he inquired if they were all traps. Ning Feng heard the announcement to abandon the test again, and he quickly used his teleport scroll because he realized that it would be terrible if someone found out, so he must run away. Back at the entrance, the other candidates began appearing using their teleport scroll, and Captain Zhu was waiting for them there. Ning Feng has also just appeared, just like the other candidates. Captain Zhu immediately instructed the candidates not to stay there, and to leave immediately, and return to the city. He looked so agitated as he warned that even if everyone present teamed up, they wouldn't be able to resist a king level or above monster, and he doesn't know if reinforcements will make it in time. Captain Zhu was surprised when he felt that the dark power source disappeared. He looked so worried as he questioned if that demon couldn't have escaped outside the realm, and Ning Feng, who seemed unaware that he was the source of the distress, just stood there looking disappointed. Ning Feng noticed Kai Wai talking to someone over the comms, telling someone that things were already beyond what they could handle, so she would report immediately. And as she reminded them that everyone must remain silent to avoid large-scale chaos, he instructed them to activate the school's sealing array, leaving only one exit for unrelated personnel to evacuate quickly. Ning Feng tried to ask Kai Wai what was going on, but he was cut off. Kai Wai immediately asked Ning Feng if he was okay when she saw him, and she looked so worried. Ning Feng awkwardly replied that he was fine, and he was puzzled when, in response, she urged him to hurry up and leave, informed him that the school was temporarily suspended, and commanded him not to come back unless necessary. A few moments later, Ning Feng was walking with Wang Yu, and he mentioned that Kai Wai looked like she was facing a great enemy, so he asked her what was going on. To which Wang Yu responded that she heard that an unknown power source was detected in the exam venue, so the whole school has been sealed off. Ning Feng looked so disappointed, and when he heard about the unknown power source, he speculated if it was the unidentified elite monster. Noticing Ning Feng's expression, Wang Yu commented that it was so hard for him to endure until the awakening. But the test was interrupted halfway, so it looks like the incident has hit him hard. Wang Yu stated that defensive spells could save his life, but they are not suitable for leveling alone, so starting tomorrow, he would team up with them. Ning Feng thanked her for her kindness, but he casually dismissed her and mentioned that it was not necessary because he could level up on his own. Wang Yu was looking at Ning Feng skeptically while he was imagining what could possibly happen and thinking that it wasn't that he didn't want to team up, but that he only knew the dark forbidden spells and couldn't casually use them in front of others. Ning Feng was startled when Wang Yu asserted that no refusal was allowed and announced that she would be waiting for him tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock at the West Gate. Wang Yu quickly walked away after declaring that, and Ning Feng tried to tell her to wait a minute, but she didn't look back. Ning Feng looked so horrified, and as he queried why Wang Yu wouldn't listen to him, he critiqued that she was so autocratic. He looked so concerned as he realized that it was bad, and he conceived the idea that maybe he should fake being sick. Ning Feng realized that, with Wang Yu's personality, he couldn't avoid her indefinitely, and as he suggested that maybe there was a way, he began to ponder if it would work. At the Yuan Cheng exchange, a lot of people were going into the building. Ning Feng stood in front of it, and he remarked that some equipment comes with skills attached, so he could buy an item with Meyer spell attached and pretend to use it for tomorrow. As he entered the building, Ning Feng was hoping that the system wouldn't turn the equipment's skill into a forbidden spell, and that he could also sell the loot from the earlier monster fight. Ning Feng was greeted by a beautiful employee, who asked him how she might help him. He stated that he would like to purchase an item that comes with the Meyer spell attached, whether it's a weapon, clothing, or accessory. The lady confirmed with Ning Feng if he was a newly awakened student, and she mentioned that there was actually no need to specifically buy a low-level spell like Meyer spell because they have many items with high-level spells attached, which was more suitable for leveling up, and she offered him that she could show him some. Ning Feng refused, and he explained to the lady that he just needed it temporarily so the equipment level didn't need to be too high, and when he explained that, the lady lost interest, rudely cutting him off and calling someone over to assist. The lady looked annoyed as she walked away, and she muttered that after all that, it turns out that he was a penniless person, so she did not bother to serve him and she would let the newcomer handle it, which baffled Ning Feng. A young, pretty employee greeted Ning Feng and asked him how she could assist him, and he reiterated what he wanted. The girl accompanied Ning Feng with a smile as they checked out the items. Ning Feng looked excited as he tried on a gauntlet, but he struggled when he tried on a heavy weapon, which made the girl laugh. Finally, Ning Feng decided to choose a ring, and as the girl asked him if he was satisfied with it, he confirmed that it was fine and thanked her for accompanying him to so many stores. Ning Feng remembered to ask the girl where he could sell loot, and as the girl confirmed with him if he wanted to sell something, she offered to take him there. A few moments later, they arrived at the appraisal consignment. A man greeted them and requested that they come in. The man was named Master Wang, and as the girl informed that Ning Feng wanted to sell loot, Ning Feng showed him the Shadow Butcher's Claw and asked him if he could help them evaluate how much that item could be sold for. Master Wang observed that it was an agility-based orange weapon with low-level requirements, boasting excellent attributes, which is very suitable for newcomers, and it also comes with 3 gem slots, allowing for adjustments according to needs to achieve more suitable effects. He assured that it was a good item and they should have several clients interested in that equipment. So he inquired if he had any specific requirements for the price, to which Ning Feng awkwardly replied that, of course, the higher the price, the better. Master Wang acknowledged that he understood, and as he requested for Ning Feng to wait a moment while he made a phone call to contact the clients, he asked Yang, who was the girl that was assisting Ning Feng, to take care of Ning Feng as he was her guest, which Yang affirmed. While Master Wang called a man named Mr. Zhang, bringing up how he had been wanting to find a fine piece of equipment for his son and telling him that he happened to have one there. Ning Feng was happily accepting the tea that Yang was serving him. A few moments later, someone came into the room. It was Master Wang who announced that the equipment had been sold to a buyer who was willing to pay 50,000 crystals, and after deducting an 8% transaction fee, he would receive 46,000 crystals, which surprised both Yang and Ning Feng that it had been sold for that much. While Ning Feng was still astonished, Yang seemed to have noticed something, and she was looking at him intently. Master Wang informed Ning Feng that if he goes through the formalities there, they will transfer the money to his account immediately. And as Ning Feng commented that it was quick, he added that he was just thinking of buying a few more pieces of equipment, to which Master Wang promised that he would recommend some for him shortly to guarantee his satisfaction. Meanwhile, the other employee asked the lady from earlier why she let Ning Feng go when she likes handsome guys the most, and she asserted that she only likes rich and powerful handsome guys, so such poor guys are not even worthy of carrying her shoes, to which another employee chuckled, asking her if she was being realistic. Suddenly, they saw Ning Feng walking their way, and the other employee pointed him out to the lady, asking why he was with Master Wang, which surprised the lady. The lady was startled when the other employee revealed that she heard that Ning Feng sold an equipment for 50,000 crystal coins and currently he was going to choose another equipment. And when the other employee heard that, she expressed that it was more than 3 months' worth of their salary just in commission. To which the other employee agreed and wishfully asked why it wasn't her who received Ning Feng because the commission would have been hers. The lady looked so horrified when she heard what the other employees said. She lamented that it should have been her receiving Ning Feng, and the commission should have been hers. A few moments later, as Ning Feng was about to leave the Yuan Cheng exchange, Yang wished him to take care, and that he should just come find her directly next time. Yang smiled politely at Ning Feng, and she introduced herself as Yang Xin. The next day, Ning Feng was walking so confidently with his equipment that the other adventurers couldn't help but turn their heads to look at him. Recalling what happened, Ning Feng recalled that he tried the equipment, and the spells it comes with won't be affected by the system. Ning Feng appeared so pleased, as he realized that he no longer had to worry about exposure. When he saw Wang Yu, he immediately shouted and waved at her excitedly, which caught her attention. Suddenly, another person caught Wang Yu's attention as they called out that they didn't expect to find her there. It was a group of people that consisted of a shield warrior, a mage, a great axe berserker, and a cleric. Wang Yu introduced them to Ning Feng, indicating that those are members of her guild, and the cleric waved and greeted him with a smile while the great axe berserker just smiled at him politely, and Ning Feng responded to them, calling them his seniors. Meanwhile, the mage and the shield warrior were glaring daggers at Ning Feng, which intimidated him. Ning Feng wondered what was wrong with those two because they were looking at him like he owed them 80 million. The shield warrior ignored Ning Feng as he quickly turned to tell Wang Yu that he remembered that she was about to reach second transformation, and Wang Yu inquired what was up. Ning Feng was astonished when he heard what the shield warrior said because he knew that one could only complete a transformation once every 30 levels, so he figured that Wang Yu was almost level 60, and he mused that it was no wonder that she was the genius girl with 5 stars at the beginning. Meanwhile, the shield warrior brought out an item and announced that there was nothing much, as he just wanted to give her a gift. It was an advanced agility potion, which was a consumable, orange quality item that permanently increased the agility attribute by 3 points. The great axe berserker was shocked when he recognized that it was an advanced potion that permanently increased attributes, and the cleric commented that it must be expensive. The shield warrior admitted that being expensive was not a big deal because it was only 20 to 30,000 crystal coins. But both of them didn't really care because the key is that this kind of high-level potion is hard to come by even if someone has money. And his dad had asked many friends for help to finally manage to snatch one. Ning Feng watched with a smile from behind as Wang Yu thanked the shield warrior for his kindness. But she urged him to take the gift back, and the shield warrior insisted on telling her that the potion was very precious, asking her if she wasn't determined to get into the top university. He smiled sinisterly as he saw the shield warrior in distress as Wang Yu walked away from him and announced that they still had things to do, so they would go first. As Ning Feng and Wang Yu walked away, Ning Feng's ears perked up as the shield warrior pointed at him and queried Wang Yu if she was really going to waste time on that kind of trash. Wang Yu quickly turned to glare at the shield warrior, whose name was Zhao Cheng, and warned him to watch his words. Zhao Cheng questioned Wang Yu what was wrong, telling her that a 1-star is just trash and they will never amount to anything in their lives. Ning Feng looked appalled as he pondered why Zhao Cheng was targeting him, who he was, if he was sick, and if he should just cast a forbidden spell on him and be done with it. The cleric called Zhao Cheng and told him that they should go, but Zhao Cheng replied she should get out of his way because it was none of her business. Zhao Cheng stated that the whole body of Ning Feng could not be exchanged for a bottle of attribute potion, so he should get lost and stop embarrassing himself. But Ning Feng just asked Zhao Cheng if he was a mad dog who bites people randomly, and he retorted that he had the nerve to talk big when it was just a +3 potion, which enraged Zhao Cheng and made him demand what he, the poor guy, meant and if he wanted to die. The mage chimed in and commented that Ning Feng had such a strong tone, so he inquired if Ning Feng had something more powerful and suggested that Ning Feng show it to them, to which Zhao Cheng agreed and added that as long as Ning Feng could take it out, he would kneel down and kowtow to him. Zhao Cheng stated that if Ning Feng couldn't, he would kneel down and kowtow to him. He was startled when Ning Feng summoned the Vanguard mark and warned him to get ready. Ning Feng mentioned that it was the gift he was giving Wang Yu, and when Wang Yu saw that it was an orange item that permanently adds attributes, she was surprised that she couldn't help but ask what that thing was, as she had never seen it before. Meanwhile, Zhao Cheng and his group were astonished when they saw the item, and Zhao Cheng wondered how there could be an item with a permanent +10 attribute and if it was a lie. When Ning Feng heard Zhao Cheng questioning if it was a lie, he challenged them to try it and they would know. He handed the item to Wang Yu, and she was taken aback and hesitated. But Ning Feng assured her that she shouldn't worry because he found that at home and it was meant for her anyway. The Great Axe Berserker and the cleric were both eager to see it, and they urged Wang Yu to hurry up and use it because they couldn't wait. Wang Yu accepted the Vanguard mark, and as it entered her hand, a powerful golden aura swirled around her hand. Zhao Cheng and his group were astonished while Ning Feng smiled proudly. After absorbing the Vanguard mark, Wang Yu excitedly exclaimed that the attributes really increased. The cleric was amazed by what happened, that her eyes were twinkling. On the other hand, the mage and Zhao Cheng were both astonished, and as Zhao Cheng inquired how Ning Feng could have such a treasure, he insisted that it was impossible and Ning Feng must have stolen it. But Ning Feng ignored Zhao Cheng's accusation, and he just mocked Zhao Cheng, telling him to remember to kowtow loudly because he was hard of hearing and couldn't hear clearly. Zhao Cheng refused to do it, but Wang Yu chimed in and politely questioned if he was having second thoughts. He quickly turned to the Great Axe Berserker and the cleric to ask for support, but he was taken aback when he saw the look of disappointment on their faces while they slowly moved away from him. Zhao Cheng gritted his teeth and knelt on the ground. Ning Feng smiled sinisterly as he looked down on Zhao Cheng, who was kowtowing in front of him. Zhao Cheng and the mage were both pissed at Ning Feng as he turned his back on them while he said goodbye and promised to see them later. A few moments later, Wang Yu and Ning Feng were walking together when Wang Yu began to apologize, but Ning Feng stopped her and reminded her that their relationship doesn't allow for such things. Ning Feng grinned and explained that Wang Yu really didn't have to accompany him because he would rather her complete the second transformation and get into the best university, while in his mind he thought that with Wang Yu around, he couldn't level up at all. Wang Yu insisted no and that Ning Feng must not give up on himself, to which Ning Feng replied that he was not giving up. Ning Feng was startled when Wang Yu remembered to hand him a book and explained that it was for him. He inquired if they were skill books, and Wang Yu confirmed because when he reached the appropriate level, he could learn them. Ning Feng observed that they were all purple quality and asked Wang Yu if he was right that they were not cheap, to which Wang Yu replied that it was not much money compared to the badge he gave her. He smiled and accepted them. Meanwhile, at the dangerous graveyard, periphery of the secret realm, crows were flying in the area, and in front of one of the gravestones, a hand came out of the ground. They were zombies carrying axes, and 2 of them came out. Suddenly, 2 powerful rays of aura traveled at an extreme speed. Those powerful auras hit the 2 zombies in the head and eliminated them. It was Wang Yu who fired those auras with her arrows, and Ning Feng was sitting behind her, gleefully counting, and he exclaimed that it was 666. But truthfully, Ning Feng was bored and disappointed while he complained that the experience there was low, but he couldn't tell Wang Yu that he was already level 10, so he didn't know what he could do as he was helpless too. Suddenly, something on Wang Yu's bag began to vibrate and make a sound. It was Wang Yu's phone, and as soon as she answered the call, the person on the other line informed her that they just got news that the big boss fallen necromancer was about to appear. It was the cleric calling Wang Yu, and she announced that it was an opportunity that is quite rare, so she asked Wang Yu if she wanted to. The cleric asked Wang Yu if she was coming. She awkwardly covered the phone with her hand when Zhao Cheng chimed in and insisted that Wang Yu had to come because there was no other way for them to fight the boss, and the fallen necromancer could drop rare mage items, which were very important to him. On the other hand, Wang Yu was speechless and she seemed to be deep in thought. She looked at Ning Feng, and Ning Feng suggested that she should go, and it was okay because they were both in that secret realm anyway, so he could level up later. Wang Yu agreed and instructed Ning Feng to go to the safe zone and wait for her. Ning Feng smiled and acknowledged that he got it. As Wang Yu left at an incredible speed, Ning Feng waved at her while he reminded her to take care and to come play often when she had time. Wang Yu got annoyed, and she snapped that Ning Feng should shut up. Ning Feng grinned as he remarked that he was finally alone and the big boss was there that day. He mentioned that luckily, he had prepared early yesterday and learned 2 more skills because since he has the passive skill, Arcane Gift, where all his forbidden spells could be cast once a week without consumption, the more forbidden spells, the better. Ning Feng explained that unfortunately, he only had 3 skill slots at his current level, so he wouldn't be able to use the skill book Wang Yu provided for him until he reached level 15. Meanwhile, at the perilous tomb, a lot of zombies were walking around the area, and a skeletal monster stood amongst them. A group of adventurers stood by the cliff to observe the situation, and the guy in full armor declared that the big boss appeared in the depths of the secret realm's high tower, and they needed to fight their way there. So they should be careful because the dungeon was very difficult and the monsters inside were very dangerous. Suddenly, a powerful fire surged in front of them, and they were startled. The Lady Paladin urged them to look because there was already an adventurer team ahead, and the guy in full armor asked how they were so far ahead. The guy in the cloak pointed out that it was Wang Yu and Zhao Cheng from the Lion Guild, and even if they put them on a national scale, they were still extremely powerful newcomers, to which the guy behind him agreed and commented that, as expected, others didn't stand a chance. The members of the Lion Guild did their roles and attacked. Zhao Cheng laughed maniacally while he attacked and proclaimed that the boss was definitely his because those trash teams didn't have anything to compete with him. Wang Yu sent explosive arrows into the air, and when the cleric saw that, she asked the Great Axe Berserker if he felt that Wang Yu had become even stronger, to which the Great Axe Berserker agreed and noted that after all, Wang Yu's agility had increased by 10 points. Meanwhile, deep in the perilous tomb, a ruined tower stood in the midst of the rocky plains. Suddenly, a dark warp in space appeared near the tower. It was a portal, and as it got bigger, something glistened in the middle of it. Ning Feng came out of the portal, and he laughed as he exclaimed that the forbidden spell of spatial magic was indeed fast. He used the active skill, Void Step, that tears through space into the dark world and swiftly traverses to the target location, lasting for 1 hour. Suddenly, a dark aura began to emerge from the ground. The dark aura materialized into a huge skeletal figure that seemed to be the fallen necromancer. The fallen necromancer was startled when Ning Feng called his attention and taunted that he was late. Without any warning, the fallen necromancer released his powerful aura to attack Ning Feng, and Ning Feng was astonished. A huge explosion occurred. When the smoke and debris dissipated, what remained was the smoking, charred ground where the fallen necromancer's attack hit. The fallen necromancer sneered that Ning Feng was an arrogant adventurer and questioned him for daring to appear alone there. Using his Void Step spell, Ning Feng appeared behind the fallen necromancer. Ning Feng grinned sinisterly as he responded to the fallen necromancer's question and revealed that it was because he didn't want to share the spoils with anyone else. The fallen necromancer growled as he blocked Ning Feng's attack. Ning Feng used his skill, Meteor Rain, an active skill that summons a fierce rain of fire from the sky and causes massive area damage. He directed the huge, blazing rocks that were falling from the sky, and the fallen necromancer was alarmed when he saw it. A huge explosion occurred, and it engulfed the entire tower with smoke. A figure stood and was slowly revealed as the dust and debris all over the place started to dissipate along with the fragments of the rocks from Ning Feng's meteor rain. It was Ning Feng, and he grinned proudly as the system notified him that he had killed the Corpse Demon, Moon Demon, Dark Erosion Ghost, Dark Feast Ghost, and 2 True Armor Warriors, and he earned 200 experience points for each of those monsters. The system notified Ning Feng that he had killed the fallen necromancer, and he earned 50,000 experience points, and when he saw his level badge, Ning Feng exclaimed that he had finally reached level 30. Items began raining down, and 3 of them were orange quality items. The Fallen Law Pendant, which increases stamina by 15 points, spirit by 20 points, mental resistance by 100 points, and curse resistance by 100 points. The Dark Soul Stone, which increases magic damage and life drain by 20%, and the Necromancer Emblem, which permanently reduces stamina by 3 points and increases the spirit attribute by 15 points. And Ning Feng remarked that the spoils were indeed abundant and he could use the pendant and the gemstone, although, unfortunately, the 2 skill books were not exclusive to mages, but they were still worth a lot of money. Choosing the Necromancer Emblem, Ning Feng decided that he would absorb that one himself because although it reduced stamina, he could accept it. After absorbing it, the system notified Ning Feng that it detected the special item Necromancer emblem and that during transformation, he could unlock the hidden occupation Undead Wizard or activate the hidden occupation All Elemental Mage with prerequisite tasks. Ning Feng remarked that hidden occupations were quite rare and they were innate, so there was no way to intervene, which made him wonder if those emblems could be the key to activating hidden occupations. He used his skill, Meteor Rain, again and concluded that he should not talk anymore because a real man should become an all-elemental mage. The area of Ning Feng's powerful Meteor Rain reached where the Lion Guild was, and they were alarmed. The fiery rocks fell onto the zombies around the Lion Guild, and when they noticed it, the Great Axe Berserker asked what was wrong and remarked that it was such a terrifying magic fluctuation, so they should stop advancing and retreat. Zhao Cheng tried to protest and mention the boss, but Wang Yu questioned him if he wanted to endanger everyone when the situation was dangerous. He was pissed, so he gritted his teeth and cursed in his mind as he muttered that it was such bad luck. After retreating, Wang Yu pulled out her phone as she commented that she should quickly inform Ning Feng. But as she opened her phone, Wang Yu saw that Ning Feng had messaged her, and he apologized and explained that he had urgent matters, so he would leave first. On the other hand, at the transformation hall, Ning Feng walked up the stairs. As he entered the building, he noticed that the place was practically empty, and he observed that there were not many people there. Ning Feng noticed the lady sitting by the entrance. The lady greeted Ning Feng and asked him if he was there to receive the transformation task, to which Ning Feng replied yes. She agreed and mentioned that Ning Feng should let her register his information first, and as she turned to her computer, she requested his name, age, and occupation, to which Ning Feng answered. The lady remarked that Ning Feng was transforming at 18, and the aptitude was a bit poor. She gestured to her side and pointed out that the mage transformation was over there, and as she requested that Ning Feng follow her, he agreed. A few moments later, the two of them arrived in a room with floating crystals, and the lady instructed that Ning Feng should just follow the process so she would go out first, and Ning Feng thanked her. As the lady left the room, she was startled when she noticed an armored person walking towards her. It was Captain Zhu, and as she asked him if there was anything wrong, the man reported that they had just gone to investigate on site, and the perilous tomb had suffered severe damage, and the source of power was not yet clear, but the estimated threat level might reach King or higher. The lady asked to confirm if there had been 2 King-level threats in just 2 days, to which Captain Zhu affirmed and explained that it was the reason why he was sent by the higher-ups. The lady looked at Captain Zhu with a serious look on her face as he informed her that they were requesting Solitary Shadow to take action. An ominous figure appeared as the system notified Ning Feng that the first transfer mission, Lick Wizard, had conditions of entering the Realm of Illusions Wumang Gui Tomb and obtaining the mission item Blood Soul Crown with a time limit of 3 days and a level difficulty. The system also notified about the first transfer mission prequel, All System Mage God, which had the conditions of entering the Realm of Illusions Huyang Divine Temple and obtaining the mission item Holy Emblem with a time limit of 3 days and S-level difficulty. As Ning Feng asked if there were actually 2 branches to choose from, he remarked that it seemed like All System Mage God was just a prequel mission, so he chose it, and as he accepted the mission, the system requested that he verify the relevant information again. A few moments later, someone walked down the stairs. It was Ning Feng, and he commented that it was truly worthy of a hidden profession because even an S-level mission had appeared, but luckily, they gave 3 days, so it was not too stressful. When Ning Feng came out, a lady bade him goodbye on the way, and Ning Feng waved her goodbye and responded, "All right." Ning Feng glanced over his shoulder when he realized that it was not the lady from earlier. On the other hand, deep in the perilous tomb, half of the tower had disappeared. A lady stood in the area while Captain Zhu, who was with another man, stood at a distance behind her, and as the man noted that it was the first time he had seen a member of Solitary Shadow, and that their outfit was different from theirs, Captain Zhu shushed him and explained that after all, the existence of that organization was an official secret. Captain Zhu informed him that it was rumored that members of Solitary Shadow all possess rare hidden professions that allow them to use the power of darkness in combat, specializing in executing special missions. They were with the lady from the transformation hall earlier, and she looked like she was in pain. The lady mentioned that it was such a powerful power of darkness that even though it had dissipated a lot, it still affected her. She walked back towards the men, and she stated that she didn't find any clues, so it seemed that the culprit disappeared after causing the damage, making it impossible to deduce their purpose. Captain Zhu shared that recently, he had received frequent reports that some secret realms had shown unusual signs, which might be a prelude to some kind of crisis, so he asked if there was any connection between them. The lady responded that it was hard to say, so she would consult with the superiors and increase manpower, which surprised Captain Zhu and made him inquire if even the famous Solitary Shadow Quan Lan found it troublesome. The other man asked Quan Lan if he could inquire if the culprit was confirmed to be a monster, and he hesitated as he was about to ask for other possibilities. Quan Lan asked the man if he meant to ask if the culprit was a mutant like her, and the man immediately apologized and clarified that he didn't mean anything else. Unbothered by the question, Quan Lan explained that the threat level there had exceeded the king level, and to control such a huge power of darkness, the cost was not something that the human body could bear. The man inquired if there was an exceptionally powerful monster hiding in the city which could bring about a catastrophe at any time. Quan Lan confirmed and said that it was likely hiding in the dark and must be found as soon as possible. Meanwhile, at Ning Feng's home, he closed the curtains and commented that the dim environment inexplicably made people feel at ease. Ning Feng sat down and remarked that after reaching level 30, 4 more skill slots had been added, so he should start by learning the 2 books Wang Yu gave him. As Ning Feng placed his palm onto the system screen, the system informed him that it detected the skill Arcane Shield, which could merge with the Forbidden Curse Foul Earth Shell, and had been executed automatically. The system notified Ning Feng that he had learned the passive skill Foul Earth Defense, which automatically took effect when attacked, and the Foul Earth Shell absorbed 100% of the damage with a limit equal to the damage it could cause, and once the attack stopped, Foul Earth Shell would gradually repair itself. Ning Feng was surprised, and he observed that forbidden curses could also merge with lower-level spells to generate new effects. So with that, he had another means of defense, and ordinary damage was completely ineffective against him. He mentioned that he would see the other book, and the system notified him that it detected the skill Falling Rock technique, which could merge with the Forbidden Curses Foul Earth Shell and Meteor Fire Rain, and was executed automatically. The system informed Ning Feng that he had learned the passive skill Elemental Mastery Earth, which increased all Earth-based spell effects by 20%. Looking at his skill window, Ning Feng commented that the skill slot still had 4, so he should go to the Yuan Cheng exchange to buy a few new books. The next day, Ning Feng went to the Yuan Cheng exchange. He casually entered the building. The lady from before immediately recognized Ning Feng when he walked past her, and she mentioned that he was the same as last time. She quickly approached Ning Feng with a smile, and as she stated that he was there, Ning Feng greeted her and mentioned that he was looking for Yang Xin. The lady informed him that Yang Xin was with another client at the moment, so she would accompany him for the day. But to her surprise, Ning Feng replied that it was not necessary because he would just look around himself and walked away. The lady was pissed, and she wondered if Ning Feng was even a man for rejecting her like that and if he was not even comparable to someone like Yang Xin. But she still chased after Ning Feng and insisted that it was okay because it was her duty. Suddenly, someone came running and politely called out to Ning Feng. It was Yang Xin, and when Ning Feng saw her, he inquired if she was done. Yang Xin was out of breath, and she explained that she was not done yet. But she was just eating in the back when a colleague informed her that Ning Feng was there, so she hurried over. Ning Feng apologized to Yang Xin for interrupting her meal and offered to treat her later as compensation, to which Yang Xin responded and admitted that it was embarrassing while the lady was just watching from the side, fuming, and she exclaimed that Ning Feng was making her so angry. A few moments later, 2 books were placed on the table, and someone requested to consign those 2 skill books for sale, and they also wanted to buy some more mage skill books. It was Ning Feng, and he was presenting the skill books to Master Wang, who reassured him that it was no problem and that Yang Xin should accompany Ning Feng, to which she agreed. Master Wang remarked that last time it was an orange weapon that Ning Feng brought, and this time it was purple skill books, and he was starting to get interested in his background, so he should send someone to find out more. A few moments later, Ning Feng and Yang Xin chatted happily over dinner. Suddenly, Ning Feng called for the waiter to ask for the bill, but Yang Xin declined and informed him that she had already paid. Ning Feng was surprised, and as he asked Yang Xin if they didn't agree that he would treat her, Yang Xin replied no and that she had a reason to treat him, so he shouldn't worry about it. He inquired what the reason was, and she giggled as she revealed that it was a secret and that they should go. As they arrived outside, Ning Feng offered to walk Yang Xin out, but she declined again, explaining that there was no need to trouble himself because she was going to another place and she would just take a taxi herself, to which Ning Feng agreed and reminded her to take care. When Yang Xin entered the taxi, the driver asked her where she was going, and she replied that it was the city second hospital. She recalled how she took care of her father in the hospital and acknowledged that it was thanks to Ning Feng that she earned a lot of commission, so her dad's medical expenses for that month were finally settled. Yang Xin was so happy that tears started welling at the corners of her eyes. Suddenly, something shattered. It was the taxi's windshield, and blood spurted all over the place as the driver got injured. Yang Xin was shocked and was alarmed when she noticed the shattered glass and blood flying towards her. A portal opened in the sky, and monsters poured into the street, causing accidents and chaos on the road. One of those monsters landed on the trunk of the car Yang Xin was riding in, which caused the windshield to break. Yang Xin quickly reached out to open the door. The doors suddenly opened, and Yang Xin lost her balance as she tried to get out of the car. Yang Xin crashed onto the ground, and she used her arms to protect her head from scraping against the pavement. She was troubled as she asked what was going on and why monsters were appearing in the safe zone. Suddenly, a monster appeared behind Yang Xin, and she was startled when she felt its presence. Meanwhile, something that looked like a human emerged from the portal in the sky. He was grinning evilly, and the skull pendant was shining on his neck. A huge explosion occurred. The explosion was aimed at a monster, but it roared to defuse the flames and remained unscathed. Yang Xin fired at the monster as she was a 1-star, level 34, first transfer mage, but she worried that it was no use. The monster charged to attack Yang Xin, and Yang Xin screamed. Suddenly, the monster was torn into pieces as an adventurer arrived, and he swung his sword powerfully at the monster. It was Captain Zhu, and as he asked Yang Xin how she was, she responded that she was fine, so Captain Zhu instructed that if she could move, she should find a place to hide first. Yang Xin quickly ran away while Captain Zhu remained, and as he observed his surroundings, he muttered to himself if everything around there had been corrupted and remarked that the secret realm had begun to merge with reality, and he had never seen such a serious situation before. Captain Zhu noted that those monsters were not something a 1-star ordinary person could handle. He recalled the question of the man he was with before about the exceptionally powerful monster hidden in the city that could bring about a catastrophe at any time, and he wondered if it could be the case. Captain Zhu was startled when he noticed that huge claws suddenly came at him. He managed to jump out of the way and quickly dodged those claws. When Captain Zhu saw that it was human, he inquired if they were a mutant. When the guy heard Captain Zhu's question, he retorted that he was not that kind of trash because he was the guardian of the power of darkness. Captain Zhu wondered what a guardian was because he had never heard of it, but he dismissed it as not the time to dwell on those things. Without warning, Captain Zhu swung his sword powerfully at the man. But instead of dodging, the man threw a punch and sent Captain Zhu flying. Captain Zhu, agitated, exclaimed that it was not good because the man was at least at the level of 3rd transfer or higher. The man suddenly placed his index finger on the ground and released his aura. A dark aura quickly shrouded the man, and he snickered as he declared that it was his territory. Captain Zhu was startled when the man charged at him and mocked that he was a weakling and that no one seemed to be a match for him. The man dug his dark aura into Captain Zhu's chest, and Captain Zhu writhed in pain as blood spurted out of his body. Captain Zhu was sent flying, leaving a trail of blood in the air. The man laughed maniacally and boasted that he had really become stronger because when he stepped on that land, it felt like there was a constant surge of power. Suddenly, a voice came out of the man's necklace, and it rebuked him for being a lowly human and warned him not to indulge himself, and the man quickly apologized. The sky suddenly cracked, and the voice reminded him that his power was granted by it. The voice added that without it, the man would be nothing more than a crawling creature in the dirt like his kind. Something glistened between the cracks. A huge head of a monster suddenly peeked out of the cracks, and it eventually managed to come out. The man trembled while he kneeled in front of the monster, who was the voice from earlier, and the monster demanded that he prove to him that he was still valuable. The monster commanded the man to use the people in that city as sacrifices for his dominion over that world, and the man immediately agreed. On the other hand, someone opened some curtains. It was Ning Feng, and he casually came out of the bathroom. He was startled when he noticed something. Ning Feng saw that everything in the restaurant was destroyed. There were bodies lying on the ground, and a monster was running rampant. As he remarked that he had just come back from using the toilet, he questioned what was going on. Noticing Ning Feng, the monster turned its attention towards him, and its eyes gleamed sinisterly. The monster quickly lunged towards Ning Feng. Suddenly, the floor started to break. Something huge emerged from the floor in front of Ning Feng, impaling the monster that was pouncing at him. Ning Feng used his skill, the Earth Spike Wall. His clothes quickly changed to his equipment as he released his skill, and he commented that luckily, he had spent a lot of money buying the weapon that day, which came with a purple skill that happened to enjoy his Earth Magic bonus. Ning Feng walked out of the restaurant. He was startled when he saw that everywhere around him was corrupted, and someone was dragging a bloody body in front of him. It was the man with the huge claws from earlier, and he clicked his tongue when he saw Ning Feng and sneered that there were still some overlooked insects. The man jumped off the ground and disappeared from where he was standing. He lunged at Ning Feng, and as he was about to attack him with his claws, Ning Feng was surprised and asked what it was. Ning Feng did not move, and the man managed to grab his body with his huge claws. The man was alarmed when he noticed something. Ning Feng was closing his eyes while crossing his arms around his body, and he remained unharmed as his foul earth defense activated, creating a foul earth shell that protected him from the damage. The man, nervous, questioned how it could block his attack. He became even more anxious when the voice of the monster inside his head muttered that it was such a powerful power of darkness. Sensing Ning Feng's aura, the monster remarked that his threat far exceeded his own. but he reconsidered and admitted that what he sensed from Ning Feng was a more terrifying aura than death. Meanwhile, Ning Feng, still with his eyes closed, noted that the man seemed very strong, so he wondered if he could be planning to cast a forbidden curse in the city. Ning Feng opened his eyes. He spread his arms and released his powerful aura, shattering the man's arm, and the man was surprised. The man quickly called for his leader, but the monster informed him that the user the man was trying to reach was out of service, so he should deal with Ning Feng himself. On the other hand, dark figures were moving towards the sky at extreme speed. It was the monsters, and they were all in a panic as they returned to the portal, and one of them urged everyone to hurry back because they were closing. In an instant, the portal in the sky closed. At that same moment the portal closed, the man's power dissipated into the air, and when he felt it, he questioned what was happening. Meanwhile, Ning Feng looked down at the man with an evil look on his face, and he seemed amused. The so-called mutants are those who, during the awakening process, gain the hidden profession of darkness. They could wield the power of darkness, which made them stronger than ordinary professions of the same level. Back into the present, the man's eyes turned white, and his mouth was agape as he lost his life. A huge, sharp rock pierced through the man's torso, and Ning Feng let out a sigh of relief as he remarked that they could be quite troublesome. Ning Feng commented that luckily he could focus on offense without worrying about defense. He mentioned that he should quickly pick up the spoils on the ground and hurry home before anyone noticed. On the other side of the city, the buildings were also destroyed by the monsters. An assassin reported to Quan Lan and informed her that the monsters had retreated and the invasion of the realm had disappeared. Quan Lan remarked that two destructive spells, one intrusion of the realm into reality, both appeared and disappeared suddenly, so she wondered what the enemies wanted. She asked the assassin how things were elsewhere, and the assassin responded that they were basically safe, except for the heavy losses suffered by the team in the south of the city, where the current situation was unknown. Quan Lan stated that the south of the city was the area where Captain Zhu was in charge, so they should go and take a look. On the other hand, at the south of the city, Duan knelt in front of the man Ning Feng had just defeated. Duan inspected the body and questioned himself if all of the man's belongings had been taken. Suddenly, Quan Lan arrived, and as she warned Duan not to move, she inquired who he was. Duan explained that Quan Lan shouldn't be nervous as he was a member of Cloud Realm. He showed them his badge as proof. Quan Lan asked Duan if the Cloud Realm was the unofficial organization composed entirely of fighters, and Duan confirmed it. She commented that she had heard they always acted in secrecy and questioned Duan why he was there. Duan explained it was because of the man. He clarified that the man was originally a member of their group, but he betrayed the organization, assisting the realm in invading reality, leading to a monster assault on their camp where everyone else perished except for a few survivors. The assassin noted that wasn't the same as what happened earlier, and Quan Lan questioned if the realm invasion had stopped because the man died. Duan asked Quan Lan if she killed him, but Quan Lan denied it and mentioned that they didn't know who did it. He remarked that the man, who liked to hide in the realm space, was very cunning, and he tried to find him several times but always escaped. Meanwhile, Quan Lan commented that Captain Zhu had the strength of third transformation, yet the entire army was wiped out and someone directly killed the enemy and stopped the realm invasion. Both Quan Lan and Duan wondered if there really was such a formidable figure in Kinyu City. Quan Lan inquired where Duan was going, and Duan explained he was going to find something. Meanwhile, Ning Feng returned home. Ning Feng was excited as he looked at the items he had gotten from the man. He expressed that the items the man dropped actually included 2 pieces of orange set equipment for the fighter profession, and that was even more exciting than defeating a boss. Ning Feng speculated that the man wasn't wearing them, probably because his level wasn't high enough. Otherwise, he would have had to use forbidden techniques to defeat the man. He observed that the pendant looked strange and had no quality. The information was also unknown. Ning Feng hoped that there was no ancient god hidden inside. The pendant, which the monster used to communicate with the man, fell silent. On the other hand, in the realm, the monster was watching Ning Feng through the pendant. The monster remarked that, luckily, he reacted quickly and closed the realm in time, so hopefully he wasn't discovered. As the monster watched Ning Feng suddenly expressed that he hoped there was no ancient god hidden inside. The monster was alarmed when he heard what Ning Feng mentioned. He quickly instructed that they should cut off all contact and ensure that they did not expose their location. The monster remarked that it was close and that it scared him to death, questioning how Ning Feng sensed him. The next morning, at the city hospital, Quan Lan visited Captain Zhu. Captain Zhu explained that it was Duan who saved them. He mentioned that as soon as the enemy saw Duan, they immediately opened a rift in the realm and escaped. Quan Lan commented that indeed she could vaguely feel that Duan's strength was not below hers. The man beside Quan Lan questioned if the guy who couldn't be caught by even those strong ones was actually taken down by a mysterious big shot, and Quan Lan remarked that it seemed to be the case in the meantime. Quan Lan suggested that perhaps the mysterious big shot was just passing by, or perhaps he was in seclusion, but in any case, he definitely wasn't registered anywhere, and aside from some traces of ordinary magic, there were no special discoveries on the battlefield. Captain Zhu commented that it would be reassuring if the big shot lived there with them, and just the thought of it felt very safe. The man mentioned that he had a rather exaggerated idea, and Quan Lan grew curious. He questioned if he was right that there should still be remnants of the dark power on the battlefield from last night, and Quan Lan confirmed it, stating that after all, the enemies were monsters from the realm. The man admitted that he didn't really understand and was just guessing, but he asked what if the mysterious big shot was also a mutant. He questioned if he was right that those two devastating spells didn't cause any casualties and suggested it could have been the mysterious big shot. But Captain Zhu immediately denied it and stated that the man was overthinking it. Meanwhile, Quan Lan wondered if she was overthinking it. On the other hand, Ning Feng went to a realm entrance. Ning Feng greeted the guards, and as he mentioned that he wanted to do the job change task, he asked if he could pass through. Ning Feng entered the Realm of Glory Temple. He mentioned that the building ahead was the Temple of Radiance. As Ning Feng walked towards the Temple of Radiance, Duan hid from him behind the rocks. Duan observed Ning Feng closely. A few days ago, Duan went to the Yuan Cheng Exchange Tower. The lady ushered Duan, and as she called Master Wang, she stated that Duan was there to see him. Master Wang greeted Duan and remarked that he had heard he wanted to buy a set of 4 transfers fighters' suits. Meanwhile, the lady commented that with such a high level and handsome looks, Duan was generous with his money, so if they could get him on board, they wouldn't have to worry in the future. Master Wang informed Duan that coincidentally, they had an old customer who just called and was ready to sell a 4 transfers fighter's suit, but he only had 2 pieces at the moment, a top and a pair of pants. Duan inquired where the person was. Master Wang explained that the person seemed to have something to do that day and couldn't make it. Duan noted that the 4 transfers, 2 pieces, top and pants, were all key information, and they matched, so although it hadn't been confirmed firsthand, the suit that Master Wang mentioned was most likely his master's relic. He asked Master Wang if he could tell him where that old customer was and offered to pay for the information, which caused Master Wang to panic. Master Wang began to wonder how things could be so coincidental because just as Ning Feng had declared he was going to sell the suit, Duan showed up asking about it, as if they had planned it. Master Wang recalled that Ning Feng had mentioned he was going to the neighboring city for something, but Duan suggested that he call to confirm. A few moments later, inside his room, Master Wang asked the lady if Duan had left already, and the lady confirmed that she had seen him off. The lady inquired if something was wrong. Master Wang revealed that he had someone investigate Ning Feng's background before, and his parents were both ordinary 2-star professionals, but they disappeared in an accident when he was young, leaving him alone, and he attended 7th middle school in the city and awakened at 18. But he was only a 1-star professional. The lady remarked that she had always thought Ning Feng was impressive, but it turned out he was rubbish, and she wondered if Ning Feng was finally exposed, as she had always thought there was something off about him, looking so poor. She asked Master Wang where Ning Feng had gotten the things he sold at their trading post because a 1-star professional couldn't get such good things, and Master Wang acknowledged that it was indeed a problem because, although Ning Feng was friends with the daughter of the Wang family group, the Wang family group hadn't helped him much. The lady noted that Duan had seemed very unhappy earlier, and asked if Ning Feng's suit could have been stolen. Master Wang speculated that it might not have been stolen, but it probably wasn't obtained through legitimate means, and at that time, Ning Feng seemed to have provoked someone he shouldn't have. The lady imagined how Duan would beat Ning Feng up. She concluded that it was likely, because a 4 transfers expert was a top figure even in Beishan province, and she laughed in her mind as she suggested that Duan's things must have been stolen, so things were going to get interesting. Back in the present, Duan carefully tailed Ning Feng. Duan remarked that it was still hard to believe that such a young person could repel the invasion of the realm because, after all, even a strong person like his master was defeated by the realm's boss. But he noted that according to the information, his master's relic might be in Ning Feng's hands, so if he wasn't the strong one, it should be the person behind him, so in any case, it would be wise to be careful. Ning Feng arrived in front of the Temple of Radiance, where people were fighting monsters. Duan observed that Ning Feng was already changing his outfit, and from his equipment, he could roughly judge Ning Feng's strength. But Ning Feng changed into the basic equipment that had been provided to him by the school. Duan noted that it was too ordinary, and Ning Feng looked just like a student who hadn't graduated yet, so he wondered if it could be some kind of disguise. He concluded that indeed, given Ning Feng's age, a novice disguise wouldn't attract attention, and would easily blend into the crowd, and if Ning Feng was intentionally hiding his whereabouts, he might shake him off, but to avoid alerting Ning Feng, he couldn't follow too closely. Duan decided that just to be safe, he would mark Ning Feng with his skill, and he used his skill, spiritual sensing, which marked the target in his consciousness without being noticed by the other party. He determined that he would use Ning Feng's usual appearance. Ning Feng walked past the people fighting with monsters, and Duan wondered what he was there for when the monsters in that realm weren't very high level. Ning Feng entered the Temple of Radiance. He was alarmed when he sensed an attack coming at him. One of the monsters gathered a powerful aura in its mouth. It fired a powerful beam of aura at Ning Feng, but Ning Feng's skill Foul Earth Defense activated. Duan was surprised by what he saw. He wondered what it was and remarked that it was an absolute defense that couldn't be broken through no matter what. Duan noted that the monsters were avoiding Ning Feng, so he was definitely not simple. Suddenly, Ning Feng stopped walking, and Duan wondered if it was the final boss and if Ning Feng would fight him one-on-one. Ning Feng commented that it was great that there was no one else around, and Duan wondered why a strong person like Ning Feng would fight such a low-level boss. But the statue remained stationary. Duan remarked that it was strange and wondered why the statue wasn't moving at all. On the other hand, Ning Feng mentioned that the mission guide didn't reference the statue, so he moved ahead, and Duan was surprised that Ning Feng was looking around. Ning Feng arrived at a room and declared that it should be there. The huge boss, Six-Winged Angel, suddenly appeared in front of Ning Feng. The Six-Winged Angel had huge wings and was wearing full armor where its face couldn't be seen. His eyes suddenly lit up. Ning Feng was startled when the Six-Winged Angel suddenly flew up. He asked why the Six-Winged Angel had run away. Meanwhile, Duan wondered if it could be a rare hidden boss and how Ning Feng could have known. The system notified Ning Feng that the All-Series Mage First Turn mission prerequisite was to enter the Realm of Glory Temple, obtain the mission item Holy Emblem, and defeat the temple's hidden boss, Six-Winged Angel. Ning Feng remarked that it was truly an S-rank mission because if it were an average first turn, no one could handle it. On the other hand, the Six-Winged Angel repeatedly exclaimed that it was too scary and asked where else he could escape to when it was his own realm. Suddenly, lightning struck the Temple of Radiance. The Six-Winged Angel continued to ascend and tried to leave the temple. Ning Feng raised his hand towards the Six-Winged Angel. He used his skill, Thunderfall Descent, which summoned a huge thunderstorm, bringing down the power of the heavens. A huge eye appeared in the sky while the Six-Winged Angel was still flying out of the temple. The huge eye released a powerful pillar of light and aimed it at the Six-Winged Angel. The pillar of light was so powerful that the Six-Winged Angel dissipated within it. Meanwhile, Ning Feng continued to raise his hand to control the skill. The Temple of Radiance crumbled. Duan was terrified and fell to the ground, lost for words. The Temple of Radiance was destroyed right before Duan's eyes. Duan mentioned that he had never seen that kind of world-destroying magic before, and it was simply too terrifying. So the strength of the big shot was definitely above his master's, and he asked himself if Ning Feng could be the rumored 8-turn powerhouse. On the other hand, Ning Feng sighed and remarked that before completing his first turn, his level couldn't increase any further, and there were too many experience points that it was simply a waste. Ning Feng noted that he should just forget it because, with the emblem in hand, he would go back and complete the mission. He got the Holy Emblem, which was an orange quality consumable that permanently increased spiritual attributes by 8, and recovery effect by 100%. Ning Feng explained that he would use the teleport scroll to go back when Duan rushed towards him and urged him to wait a moment. Ning Feng was horrified and wondered when Duan came in if he saw everything. Meanwhile, Duan was alarmed and pointed out that Ning Feng's expression looked very unhappy. Duan requested that Ning Feng shouldn't be angry and promised that he could explain. Suddenly, they heard a loud sound, and Ning Feng commented that it was the alarm. Ning Feng suggested they leave first and continue their conversation outside, and Duan agreed. A few moments later, Ning Feng and Duan were talking by a huge tree in the mountains. Ning Feng inquired if Duan had been following him all that way. Duan apologized and clarified that he didn't mean anything else, as he just wanted to confirm because, after all, Ning Feng looked very young, and if he hadn't seen those things with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. He recalled that even though his master, as strong as he was, paid with his life back then, he could only temporarily seal the invading realm and let the traitor escape. And over the years, the traitor had been using humans as sacrificial offerings, trying to break the seal, and he had been chasing him for a long time but without success. Meanwhile, Ning Feng acknowledged that Duan was a 4th-turn powerhouse, and if he hadn't revealed himself, he wouldn't have noticed at all, so in the end, it was because his level was too low, and at that rate, exposure was just a matter of time. On the other hand, Duan observed that Ning Feng fell silent and wondered if Ning Feng was planning to silence him to cover his tracks. Duan expressed his gratitude for Ning Feng avenging his master, so if he ever needed anything in the future, he should just let him know. Ning Feng remarked that Duan's level was not low and that he was a lone wolf, so if he could establish a good relationship with him, maybe it would be useful. He insisted that he didn't want anyone else besides Duan to know about that day's matter, and Duan reassured him that he would keep the secret. Duan noted that Ning Feng's magic carried a strong dark power, but it did not harm the innocent. Moreover, Ning Feng repelled the realm invasion and saved the entire city, so with such a low-key powerhouse, no matter the reason, he deserved his respect. He mentioned that since he had nowhere else to go, he might as well settle down in Kinyu City. Suddenly, Ning Feng's phone rang. He answered Kai Wai's call, and she immediately asked him where he was. Ning Feng responded that he was out of town, getting ready to come back, and asked her if she needed anything. Kai Wai explained that there was something she would like to ask about and that they could talk when he got back. He wondered why Kai Wai suddenly called him. Meanwhile, Quan Lan asked Kai Wai how it was. Kai Wai remarked that from the tone of the conversation, it didn't seem like there was anything wrong, and Ning Feng was already preparing to come back. Quan Lan commented that a student who had just awakened a few days ago suddenly reached the level of first turn, and if it weren't for the timely investigation, it might have been overlooked. Kai Wai noted that Ning Feng had a good character and studied diligently, so she believed he was not a bad person, and Quan Lan clarified that she didn't say Ning Feng was a bad person, but some things needed to be clarified. Quan Lan was deep in thought. She recalled her meeting, and someone mentioned that the preliminary situation was like that, and they would continue to follow up and also hope to attract the attention of the superiors. The elder asked if there was anything else. Quan Lan was silent for a moment. She asked if it was possible that the 2 destructive spells in Kinyu City were caused by mutants. The people in the meeting fell silent. The elder questioned Quan Lan, reminding her that she was a mutant herself, and wondered how she could ask such a question. He explained that mutants use the dark power, and the brain needs to bear corresponding costs, so the more powerful the mutant, the greater the costs they bear, consuming life, losing sanity, and even turning into new monsters themselves. The elder remarked that even the most ordinary costs, if one is not careful, could lead a mutant to an irrecoverable end, so a mutant equivalent to a king-level threat simply could not exist. One of Quan Lan's classmates commented that she was getting more and more confused and admired her imagination for the king-level mutant, so if she liked making up stories so much, she might as well be a screenwriter. Quan Lan explained that she was just considering all possibilities, so whether the man listened or not was up to him. The man clicked his tongue and teased Quan Lan for still trying to argue when clearly they were just incompetent and couldn't find out anything. He remarked that if there really was a king-level mutant, he would cut his head off and let Quan Lan use it as a ball to kick. The elder cleared his throat and noted that they had already sent an investigation team to Kinyu City, so they hoped that Quan Lan could cooperate actively because, in necessary circumstances, the investigation team would take over all her work, and also, her request for Lonely Shadow to increase manpower had not been approved. Quan Lan asked if it was a lack of trust in her, but the elder denied it and requested that she bear with them a little longer. Back in the present, Quan Lan sighed and stretched her arms. Suddenly, the assassin burst into the room, and as she called Quan Lan, she informed her that there was the latest news. The assassin reported that the Realm Temple of Radiance in Longbow City had been attacked by destructive magic, but there were no casualties for the time being. Kai Wai mentioned Ning Feng registering his training location during the investigation. Quan Lan confirmed that it was right and that it was the Temple of Radiance. She scoffed and remarked that it just got interesting. At Longbow City, the entire city was enclosed in a huge barrier. One of the people inquired if the barrier was all right, another wondered what exactly happened over at the Radiant Sun Temple, and another expressed their concern, mentioning that it scared them so much their legs went weak. One of the hunters reassured the people that they shouldn't worry because the barrier had been raised to the highest level, isolating the dark forces from the outside without affecting the downtown area, so it should be safe, but one of the people questioned what was going on exactly. Meanwhile, Ning Feng explained that the commotion they caused earlier triggered the highest alert directly, so it seemed they would just have to wait for the alert to be lifted before taking the car back home. Suddenly, a rift in the sky appeared. A portal emerged, and as it got bigger, a monster peeked into the space it created. The portal grew larger, and as the monster passed through it, he wondered if it was the world of humans. The monster remarked that there seemed to be a magic barrier and questioned why they were opening it, but then shrugged it off, commenting that humans were fragile and always hid behind their turtle shells. More monsters passed through the portal, and the monster lamented that it was unfortunate those turtle shells couldn't stop them anymore. The monster pointed ahead. He summoned the whimpers, and the smaller monsters quickly charged forward. As the smaller monsters gathered and whimpered while passing through the barrier, the people remarked that something felt odd. The warrior inquired what it was. The smaller monsters roared and whimpered as they attacked people. The other people quickly ran and screamed, begging for help. One of the people questioned why there were monsters breaking through the barrier, while another pointed out that the barrier wasn't damaged and asked how they got in. One warrior stuck in the middle of the crowd urged everyone to stop pushing and to watch out for his sword. On the other hand, Duan shielded Ning Feng with his aura as he stood in front of him. Duan addressed Ning Feng as his boss, commenting that it might be another high-intensity realm invasion, and Ning Feng asked if it was similar to what happened in Qingyu City the other night. Duan wondered if they should intervene. Ning Feng questioned Duan if he had a solution. Duan was about to respond but hesitated and remarked that Ning Feng could easily handle that, so he wondered why he would ask him for a solution. He realized that there was no way Ning Feng would ask what he was thinking so clearly. Ning Feng was testing him. Duan acknowledged this, saying that Ning Feng should leave it to him, which confused Ning Feng. Ning Feng commented that there were many people around and it wasn't convenient for him to intervene, so he should let Duan handle it, and Duan agreed. Suddenly, one of the huge monsters forcefully landed on the ground, surprising the people as it created a huge explosion. The monster laughed hysterically. An archer immediately fired his arrow at the monster and declared that he was dead. But the monster simply slapped the arrow away and clicked his tongue. The warrior quickly moved behind the monster and raised his sword to attack him. But before he could land his attack, the monster swung its arms at him. The warrior's sword shattered, and he was sent flying by the monster's attack. The archer exclaimed in disbelief and remarked that he couldn't even touch the monster. The monster expressed disappointment, noting that he expected stronger opponents among humans. One of the people noticed that the monster was approaching them, causing others to scream, and they urged everyone to run. Another one of the people screamed for help and questioned what they should do. The monster raised his sword and was about to swing it at the terrified student running in front of him. He swung his sword and sneered that they were all rubbish. Duan swiftly blocked the monster's attack. The monster was surprised when he saw how Duan effortlessly blocked his huge blade. He was extremely puzzled by what he witnessed. Duan commented that although Ning Feng didn't really need his protection, since he was there, he couldn't let the boss get involved personally. He remarked that he would take care of the monster, and Ning Feng requested that he stop calling him boss because it felt a bit embarrassing. The monster laughed and acknowledged that not all of them were rubbish. Duan swung his sword and pushed the monster away. The monster growled in pain as he coughed up blood. He was alarmed when he saw that Duan was approaching him. In an instant, Duan appeared in front of the monster, sinister as he prepared to use his blades. Duan performed multiple slashes to attack the monster, and he was so quick that only the movements of his blade were visible. He gracefully landed on the ground after executing his move. One of the people marveled at the strength displayed, observing that the monsters didn't stand a chance, and another commented that Duan had impressive skills, probably being a high-star hidden class. A huge explosion occurred behind Duan, and he confidently didn't look back. Duan was a level 137 legendary martial artist class and was a 5-star hidden class. Ning Feng expressed amazement, remarking that it was incredible. Ning Feng remained composed outwardly and remarked that there was something in there. The hunters reported that the monster leader had been eliminated, so it was time to strike back. Meanwhile, Duan inquired if Ning Feng needed him to do anything else. Ning Feng replied no and praised Duan for doing great. One of the people wondered just how powerful Ning Feng was for a formidable fighter like Duan to show such respect, while another speculated that Ning Feng might be the son of some prominent family traveling with guards for experience. Duan suddenly remembered and mentioned he had gotten the loot dropped by the boss and requested Ning Feng to accept it. When the people saw that, one of them exclaimed that they were orange-grade items, and another remarked that even if they couldn't use them themselves, they were worth tens of thousands of crystals each. A lady offered to serve as a maid for Ning Feng. Ning Feng revealed that he had gotten the big golden chasing red and explained it was an agility skill book perfect for Wang Yu. He also revealed the dark shield and stated they would sell it for money later. Suddenly, one of the hunters addressed Ning Feng and Duan as two mighty warriors and asked if they could have a word. Kai Dongming thanked both Ning Feng and Duan for intervening and saving Longbow City. He introduced himself as the mayor of Longbow City and commented that the two of them seemed unfamiliar, not like locals. Ning Feng responded that they were there on business originally, but they got stuck and couldn't leave at the moment. Kai Dongming imagined that Ning Feng was glaring at him while questioning if he had any idea why he was there, and Kai Dongming immediately expressed his concern, asking if it was because they had triggered the highest alert. He quickly apologized, stating that it was their fault for messing up and causing Ning Feng inconvenience, but Ning Feng denied it and asserted it was not Kai Dongming's fault, while thinking that he was the one who caused it. Kai Dongming ordered his assistant to fetch the flight scroll he had just bought as an apology for Ning Feng, and the assistant immediately agreed. When Ning Feng heard Kai Dongming mention the flight scroll, he acknowledged that it was a rare find around those parts, and although single-use, it made short-distance travel convenient and fast. Kai Dongming mentioned they had an unpleasant request due to the chaos and asked if Ning Feng and Duan could stay in Longbow City for a few days because, as they had seen, their defense forces were thin. Ning Feng apologized and explained that his schedule was tight, so he might not be able to fulfill the request, and he clarified that the class transfer mission was only for 3 days. so if delayed, the first transformation would never be completed. Kai Dongming interpreted this as Ning Feng asking him if he was implying that he was idle and conceded that it was indeed their oversight. Suddenly, Kai Dongming's assistant arrived and announced that the scroll had arrived. As Kai Dongming handed the items to Ning Feng, he offered the supreme black card from Yuancheng Trading Post as a token of appreciation. Ning Feng acknowledged that he had heard the supreme black card from Yuancheng Trading Post was only given to a select few successful individuals, granting various privileges, so it was no wonder Kai Dongming could afford a flight scroll, as his status must be extraordinary. He thanked Kai Dongming. Kai Dongming insisted that Ning Feng accept it, otherwise he was worried about being blamed. He reluctantly inquired if they could seek help from Ning Feng if Longbow City encountered danger in the future. Ning Feng agreed, as long as he had the time. Everyone cheered and proclaimed that Ning Feng had agreed, so Longbow City was safe. Ning Feng and Duan quickly used the flight scroll and left the city. They flew in the sky, and Ning Feng was amazed while Duan remained calm. Meanwhile, Wang Yu and her group were at Qinyu City's transfer hall. The cleric announced that Wang Yu was out. Wang Yu came out with Zhao Cheng, and he was laughing. Suddenly, Wang Yu noticed Ning Feng and Duan flying in the sky. She looked at them and saw they were heading toward the transfer hall. Zhao Cheng asked Wang Yu what was wrong. Wang Yu replied that she had just seen two people flying by, and one of them seemed to be Ning Feng. Zhao Cheng doubted it, questioning if she was sure because flight scrolls cost thousands of crystals, so there was no way someone like Ning Feng could afford it. Besides, Ning Feng had just awakened, and Zhao Cheng wondered what he was doing at the class transfer hall. Wang Yu warned Zhao Cheng that if he ever said anything bad about Ning Feng again, she would make him regret it. Zhao Cheng cursed, wondering why he always brought up a worthless loser and what was wrong with him compared to Ning Feng. The cleric urged them not to worry and inquired how their second transformation went. Zhao Cheng responded that his transformation was a grade and lamented not getting S grade. The Great Axe Berserker remarked that a grade was already good since only the luckiest get S grade. The mage observed that completing second transformation at 18 was already a supernova coveted by top universities, and a grade tasks were rare opportunities. The cleric asked Wang Yu about hers. Wang Yu remained speechless and looked dejected. Everyone was surprised by Wang Yu's expression, and they fell silent. The cleric commented that Wang Yu's expression looked strange and inquired if she had drawn a task below C grade. Meanwhile, Zhao Cheng scoffed secretly, commenting that even the praised genius girl had her bad days, as task level directly affects attribute bonuses and skill unlocks. Zhao Cheng consoled Wang Yu, suggesting she work hard to catch up and offered to help her if she couldn't. But Wang Yu corrected Zhao Cheng, stating that he wasn't upset about an A-grade task, and questioned why she would be upset about an S-grade one. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. The cleric asked why Wang Yu hadn't said anything earlier, and Wang Yu explained that her situation seemed different from others. Wang Yu revealed that her task had unlocked a hidden class never seen before. Zhao Cheng inquired how that was possible because when one awakens, their profession is already determined, and he stated that he has never heard that hidden professions will be triggered when changing professions, and he questioned Wang Yu if he was mistaken. Wang Yu recalled her time when she was back at the transition formation room. She stood in the middle of the room and was surrounded by crystals. The system notified Wang Yu that the Profession Advancement System has detected that Wang Yu possesses the key item Vanguard Emblem, which could advance the original Profession Swift Archer to Shadow of the Vanguard, and the Profession Change task will also undergo corresponding changes. The system queried Wang Yu if he would advance or cancel it. Wang Yu inquired what was going on and why there was such an interface. She recalled that the Vanguard emblem was what Ning Feng gave her, and she pondered that it actually had that effect. Wang Yu remarked that Ning Feng seemed quite confident at the time, so she wondered if he already knew. She thanked Ning Feng for the gift and chose to advance. Wang Yu explained that that was how it was, and the cleric demanded how she could make decisions so casually. Zhao Cheng probed what Shadow of the Vanguard was and noted that she had never heard of it, so maybe there was a problem with the profession change system, and if Wang Yu makes the wrong choice, her whole life will be ruined. Wang Yu replied that Zhao Cheng doesn't need to worry about her affairs, but Zhao Cheng asserted that he was doing it for Wang Yu's own good. The Great Axe Berserker commented that he was envious because someone has a 5-star hidden profession and still advanced, while the cleric mentioned that she also wanted a childhood friend like Ning Feng. Zhao Cheng considered that he had to send someone to find that emblem too, and no matter how much it costs, no matter how dangerous it is, he must find it. On the other hand, Ning Feng got the divine emblem. The system notified him that it was an orange-quality consumable item. The divine emblem lit up as Ning Feng consumed it. The system notified Ning Feng that his S-level mission completion was at 100%. The system also notified Ning Feng that the profession change has begun. Ning Feng laughed and observed that not only was there a significant increase in attributes, new passive skills have also been added, and he wondered what level of mastery could be achieved with precise manipulation of forbidden spells. He declared that it was perfect for trying out next time. Meanwhile, Quan Lan approached the profession change room, where Duan stood guard outside. Quan Lan wondered if Duan wasn't the fighter she met last time and why he was with Ning Feng, and she surmised that Duan seemed to be guarding Ning Feng. She believed that according to the intelligence investigation, Duan, despite his young age, already has the strength of fourth transformation. Quan Lan recognized that even on a national scale, he is a rare, strong individual. She noted that, however, according to the staff, when they entered, Duan always followed behind Ning Feng, showing a very respectful attitude. Quan Lan remarked that Kai Y's student was not simple. She suggested that it was up to Kai Y next, and Kai Y assured that she shouldn't worry because she will go and confirm with Ning Feng. Kai Y expressed that she believes that Ning Feng will never become their enemy. On the other hand, Ning Feng and Duan laughed and talked to each other. Suddenly, Kai Y called Ning Feng. Ning Feng acknowledged Kai Y's presence. He remembered that Kai Y called him earlier, so he inquired if there was something, and Kai Y revealed that there were indeed some things that she wanted to know about from him. Duan addressed Ning Feng as boss and indicated that he would wait for him over there, and Kai Y was puzzled with how Duan addressed him. Ning Feng laughed and explained that Kai Y shouldn't mind Duan because he was joking. Kai Y queried Ning Feng if she was right that he had completed the first transformation. Ning Feng was taken aback by Kai Y's question. He was speechless for a moment as he stood in front of Kai Y. Ning Feng reflected that although he didn't expect to keep it a secret, it has been discovered too quickly, but Kai Y has always taken care of him, so she was one of the few people he could trust and she shouldn't harm him. He admitted yes and that he didn't want too many people to know because explaining that was a bit complicated. Kai Y added that there was another question, and it may be a bit weird, but she still needed to confirm it, and she inquired if Ning Feng had been influenced by the power of darkness. Ning Feng questioned Kai Y why she asked like that, and he wondered if it could be that his system's issues were being exposed. Kai Y explained that, as Ning Feng knew, there have been anomalies in the world recently, and the invasion of the realm into the reality was continuously strengthening. So many people have been affected by the power of darkness and were gradually transforming into new mutants. Ning Feng replied that he understood, but Kai Y didn't need to worry because he was not a mutant. While he considered that mutants are closely monitored by the authorities and he didn't want to get involved with them in any way. Kai Y requested that he hoped that Ning Feng could cooperate with her for a test. She showed a dark crystal to Ning Feng. Kai Y instructed that Ning Feng should inject his power into the crystal, and it will display the amount of power of darkness inside him. Ning Feng got nervous. Kai Y noticed that Ning Feng's expression seemed hesitant, so she was in doubt. Ning Feng laughed and admitted that it was his first time encountering such a situation, so he was inexplicably a bit nervous. He injected his power into the crystal as instructed. Suddenly, an explosion occurred, and the crystal shattered into pieces. Ning Feng was worried when he saw what happened. On the other hand, Kai Y was surprised that the crystal shattered. Ning Feng demanded Kai Y what was going on. Kai Y recalled when Quan Lan explained that it was a demon crystal, and because it was very sensitive to the power of darkness, the authorities often used it to detect mutants. Quan Lan explained that when power is injected, the crystal shakes. She added that the more intense the shaking, the higher the amount of power of darkness. Kai Y wondered if someone could tell her what it meant when it shattered directly. Both Ning Feng and Kai Y were speechless when the demon crystal shattered. Ning Feng remarked that he knew it was a bit unbelievable to change his profession right after awakening. But Kai Y had known him for so long, and he inquired whether she didn't at least trust him as a person. Kai Y reflected that indeed, Ning Feng lost his parents at a young age and awakened later than others, so it was already remarkable for him to maintain such an optimistic and positive attitude. She mentioned that personally, he trusts Ning Feng, but it is her duty to report that day's events. So she hopes that Ning Feng understands, and Ning Feng responded that of course he understands. Ning Feng considered that with that being said, he doesn't know what the official reaction will be, so if necessary, he will have to leave Kinyu City. Suddenly, Kai Y summoned a spell book and gave it to Ning Feng. She announced that she prepared that gift for Ning Feng to congratulate him on successfully completing first turn. Ning Feng smiled as he stared at the gift Kai Y gave him. He thanked Kai Y for taking care of him all those years, and he added that he had also prepared a gift for her. It was the Holy Feather Wings, an orange quality belt. Kai Y was surprised when she saw the orange equipment, and she commented that the effect of no chanting required could save lives at crucial moments. She protested that it was too precious and she couldn't accept it, but Ning Feng explained that it was loot from his profession transition task, so he requested that she shouldn't be polite. Ning Feng stated that his friend was waiting for him, so if there was nothing else, he would leave first. Kai Wai watched as Ning Feng and Duan walked away. She muttered that Ning Feng actually gave orange equipment as a gift, and she wondered what exactly Ning Feng is. A few moments later, Kai Wai went to the adventurer's office and reported back to Quan Lan. Quan Lan noted that she had never seen such a situation before. Kai Wai contemplated what would happen if they considered Ning Feng a threat. But Quan Lan advised that they should just forget it and they should just leave it at that. And Kai Wai queried what she meant by that. Quan Lan suggested that Ning Feng may have surpassed their current understanding, and if he is indeed a strong individual, they should try to win him over as much as possible rather than angering him by digging too deep. The assassin inquired Quan Lan if they should still report it, and Quan Lan replied no. She added that they should suspend the investigation on Ning Feng in the meantime and all related information must be strictly sealed. Kai Wai confirmed that she agrees, and she reasoned that after all, Ning Feng was still young and had no background, so that way, it was also a form of protection for him. Quan Lan concluded that since Ning Feng doesn't want to expose his secrets, they should focus on Duan because it was a time to recruit people, and having one more strong individual won't hurt them. Meanwhile, Ning Feng was back in his home. Duan observed that Ning Feng seemed a bit unhappy. Ning Feng reported that Kai Wai just messaged him, saying that the investigation on him has been cancelled. Duan questioned Ning Feng if that wasn't a good thing. Ning Feng sighed and explained that he was worried about leveling up in the future because every time he destroys a mystery realm, it causes a big stir, and currently it has attracted the attention of the authorities, so if that continues, it will inevitably cause a lot of trouble. Duan marveled that Ning Feng was indeed worthy of being a big shot because even his worries are different from them. Ordinary people. And every time Ning Feng destroys a mystery realm, if he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't know how to respond to that. He wondered if it would actually be better if he leveled up in mystery realms that aren't on the official record, and Ning Feng was intrigued. Duan reported that recently there have been anomalies in the world, resulting in many new mystery realms. He added that among them, some are not managed by the authorities due to lack of resources, while others are occupied by evil forces. Ning Feng acknowledged that it might be a solution, and he inquired if Duan had information on those mystery realms. Duan revealed that currently he has information on 2. And since Ning Feng needed them, he could gather more. Ning Feng agreed and confirmed that he will rely on Duan, and he realized that it was definitely much more convenient to shop up as Duan than as a student. He contemplated that the next day he would go to the trading post to sell the loot, which will also be a good opportunity to take a break because, with the upgrade of forbidden spells, there was no need to worry about falling behind in progress compared to others. A few moments later, Duan went to the Express Hotel. He remarked that he didn't expect it to be evening already when he returned from Ning Feng's place, so he will stay at the hotel for one more night that day and he will find a place to rent the next day. Suddenly, Zhang Jai greeted Duan, and Duan inquired who he was. The two of them settled at the lobby, and as Zhang Jai introduced himself as the mayor of Kinyu City, he thanked Duan for helping out during the last Mystery Realm invasion and expressed that he wanted to know if Duan had any plans to settle down in Kinyu City. Duan confirmed that he does indeed. Zhang Jai responded that it was great and that they warmly welcomed strong individuals like Duan. He explained that it was a special adventurer credential issued by the city with very high privileges, so if Duan needed anything in the future, he should just let them know and they will do their best to accommodate. Duan accepted the card and inspected it. Zhang Jai recalled that he heard that other cities previously tried to recruit Duan but were all rejected, and he speculated if Kinyu would be looked down upon because it was a small place. Duan thanked Zhang Jai for his kindness and accepted the credential. Zhang Jai repeatedly insisted that Duan shouldn't be polite. Meanwhile, Duan considered that maybe Ning Feng will need the credential in the future, so he will keep it in the meantime. Unaware about Ning Feng's situation, Zhang Jai believed that Duan was a 4-turn strongman, so with him there, Kinyu would be more secure and Su Lan's suggestion was really good. Zhang Jai inquired if Duan was looking for a place to stay and assured that there was no need to bother because he would take care of it right away, and Duan thanked Zhang Jai. Ning Feng's game announced his victory. Ning Feng remarked that it was late already, so it was time to sleep. Suddenly, he wondered why the class group was still chatting at that late hour. Zhang Liuo inquired what level everyone was at the moment. Ma Xiaobo and Zhu Nana replied that they were at 26 while Fang Yu was at 27. Zhu Nana commented that it looked like everyone was below level 30. Zhang Liuo questioned what they should do when all the city's dungeons are closed and they are not letting them out of the city easily, so their levels are going to fall behind. Ma Xiaobo mentioned that he heard that the goddesses went out of the city. Fang Yu noted that they went to do their second-tier tasks, but they should not talk about that because if they have the ability at tier 1, They could also go. Junana urged that Feng Yu should stop talking because she was already starting to feel anxious. Ning Feng considered that those classmates awakened at the age of 16 and wanted to participate in the college entrance examination, which requires reaching tier 1 or above, and he didn't expect to surpass them in just a few days. Suddenly, Lai Daning messaged the group chat and announced that while they were worrying there are people with a better mentality than them, and some people were playing games until earlier, and as he queried the others if they could believe it, he tagged Ning Feng, and Zhang Luo wondered if it was real. Ning Feng responded that he was another admirer of Wang Yu, and he demanded if that guy saw the updates on his account and what business was it of his if he played games. Kai Wai suddenly tagged Lai Daning and advised that he should mind his own business and there was no need to worry about others, which made Lai Daning quickly retract his messages. Ning Feng laughed and observed that Kai Wai was really considerate. Suddenly, Ma Ziobo sent an article regarding the serious casualties on the dungeon invasion, which alarmed Feng Yu. Ma Ziobo reported that he heard that some cities have completely fallen, occupied by monsters, the safe zones are useless, and there are out-of-control mutants. Junana exclaimed that it was scary and wondered if the end of the world was coming. Zhang Luo recounted that he was there last time too, but later he heard that it was an unknown big shot who drove the monsters away, which surprised Lai Daning that they have such a powerful hidden big shot in Kinyu City. And Zhang Luo added that the sense of security was suddenly full, and Lai Daning remarked that if he knew who the big shot was, he would go bow down to him as his grandpa. Ning Feng admitted that he only heard Kai Wai and Duan talk about the world anomaly before, so he didn't expect it to be that serious, and he requested that they don't ruin it for him because he has just started enjoying a few good days. He mused that it was a pity that the guy from last time got away. Otherwise, he would have killed him. Ning Feng walked back to his room. On the other hand, the demon who got away sneezed. He pondered why he suddenly felt scared. The next day, Yang Xin was at Yuancheng Trading Post. She was standing anxiously at the entrance of the building. Suddenly, her coworker inquired Yang Xin how someone could come to work without recovering from injuries. Yang Xin replied that she was not badly hurt and she was already fine. But the lady countered that Yang Xin was saying that she was fine on the surface, but she actually wants to climb the high branches as soon as possible in her heart. Yang Xin denied that she was not. The lady remarked that it was too bad that Yang Xin's high branch was just a petty thief who doesn't know any better, that he actually stole from a fourth transformation strongman, and currently he has probably been crushed to pieces. Yang Xin insisted that the lady was talking nonsense because Ning Feng couldn't be that kind of person. But the lady laughed and stated that Master Wang specially sent someone to investigate Ning Feng, and he was just a waste who awakened as a one-star professional at the age of 18 with both parents dead early, and he had no ability to get high-level items. The lady demanded what Ning Feng was if he was not a thief, since the fourth transformation strongman had come directly to his door. Suddenly the lady was surprised when a dark, huge spike appeared in front of her. Ning Feng apologized and commented that the lady's mouth really needs a beating, and she almost made him lose his temper. The lady fell on the ground, and she freaked out when she realized what just happened. She was surprised when she saw Ning Feng. The lady exclaimed that Ning Feng dared to use offensive spells in the trading post, and she quickly called the guards. Yang Xin urged that Ning Feng should go quickly while the guards haven't arrived yet, but Ning Feng assured that Yang Xin shouldn't worry. Yang Xin warned that the forces above Yuancheng Trading Post are not small at all, and ordinary people can't afford to offend them, so if they catch Ning Feng, it will be troublesome. Suddenly, Master Wang arrived along with the guards. He demanded Ning Feng, who gave him the courage to act recklessly in their Yuancheng Trading Post. Ning Feng stated that he heard that Master Wang was investigating him behind his back and even framed him as a thief. Master Wang retorted that Ning Feng knew best whether he was a thief or not. He added that if Ning Feng wanted to question him, he was not qualified enough. Ning Feng inquired Master Wang if he treats guests like that in his Yuancheng Trading Post. The guards quickly stopped themselves when they saw the card that Ning Feng held up. Master Wang wondered if that was the supreme black card of their trading post, and the lady questioned how that was possible and declared that it must be fake. Ning Feng informed that it was a gift from Kai Dongaming, so it carries some weight. Master Wang demanded Ning Feng where he got that card from, and as Ning Feng taunted Master Wang if he wasn't good at investigating, he suggested that he should go investigate it himself. The lady queried Master Wang what they should do, and Master Wang directed that the lady should keep an eye on Ning Feng while he makes a call to inquire. On the other hand, one of the people outside the trading post wondered what was going on, and another one replied that they didn't know but the guards were stopping them from going through. Meanwhile, Kai Dongaming demanded Master Wang what was going on because HQ told him that he was investigating the membership card he gave to Ning Feng. Master Wang was completely speechless when he heard what Kai Dongaming stated. He immediately responded that it was nothing and it was just a small misunderstanding, while he considered that Kai Dongming's father was one of the founders of the trading post, and he wondered how Ning Feng could befriend Kai Dongming. Kai Dongming inquired about the small misunderstanding. He explained that Ning Feng was someone he worked hard to win over, and as he questioned Master Wang if he didn't offend Ning Feng, Master Wang assured there was no way he could, and Kai Dongming shouldn't worry because he will handle it properly. But Kai Dongming quickly realized that Master Wang really offended Ning Feng, and as he demanded him who gave him the guts, he repeatedly cursed and added that Master Wang should wait for him as he will be right there. Master Wang wondered what the relationship between Kai Dongming and Ning Feng was and why Kai Dongming was angry. He remembered Duan and reasoned that he would call the fourth transformation Big Shot and tell him the fighter suit has been found because even if Duan confronts Kai Dongming, he will have to give some face. Yang Xin was flustered while Ning Feng was just casually waiting in the waiting area of the Yuan Cheng exchange. Kai Dongming called Ning Feng in a rush and Duan was rushing with him. Ning Feng remarked why they were there. Yang Xin observed that it was Mayor Kai Dongming and the Four Turns boss from last time, and she explained why they seemed so warm with Ning Feng. Both Duan and Kai Dongming glared at the lady who disrespected Ning Feng. The lady considered that it was scary and she wondered why they were all flattering her. She was horrified when she saw Master Wang come in with a gloomy aura around him. The lady stated what was wrong with him, and Master Wang responded that it was over as all was gone. Kai Dongming inquired if he really did not need Master Wang and the lad to apologize, and Ning Feng replied that there was no need because he doesn't think Master Wang is the kind of person who would repent just by apologizing. Kai Dongming declared that Master Wang and the lady should hurry up and pack their things and get out. Master Wang and the lady were both too stunned and horrified to speak. Master Wang complained that it was all because of the wretched lady and that she ruined him. Kai Dongming called the guards and ordered that they should get Master Wang and the lady out of there. A few moments later, Kai Dongming brought Ning Feng and Du into the VIP access room. They were having a discussion, and Yang Xin was serving them tea. Kai Dongming presumed that Ning Feng seemed to have a good impression of Yang Xin, thankfully not ruining the exchange's reputation completely. On the other hand, Yang Xin believed that Ning Feng was really impressive because he was young, and yet he is able to converse with those big shots so effortlessly. Kai Dongming mentioned that Yang Xin had been wronged at that time, so she should work hard in the future, and the exchange won't let her down. Yang Xin affirmed yes and that she will definitely work hard. Ning Feng apologized to Kai Dongming that he had to go to all that trouble for his sake, but Kai Dongming clarified that it was not at all as Ning Feng's matters or his matters because if it weren't for Ning Feng's intervention last time, Longfu City would have been in danger. Kai Dongming noted that Ning Feng seemed to be interested in the treasure catalog of the exchange and queried if there was something specific he was looking for. Ning Feng laughed and uttered that he was looking for something, and he inquired if he had heard of something called the Relic of the End. Kai Dongming queried what relic it was. Meanwhile, Duan inquired what it was the end of. Ning Feng advised that they should never mind because he saw it on the internet the other day, and he figured it was some rare item. He recalled how he summoned the spell book that Kai Wai gave to him back in his home. Ning Feng explained that the skill book given by Kai Wai is for mages to temporarily replenish their mana in battle. He remarked that he wondered what kind of forbidden spell it would turn into. The system notified Ning Feng that the passive skill, Dark Confluence, which absorbs the residual dark power from the Relic of the End, transforms it into one's own attributes. Ning Feng admitted that he had never heard of it, and the system didn't explain it, so he wondered where he was supposed to find it. He reasoned that he should forget it because there is no rush to use it and no one cares. Back in the present, Kai Dongming pointed out that their trip was hasty, so the next time, Ning Feng and Duan must visit Longbo City again so he will host them. Kai Dongming summoned a scroll in his hand. He quickly flew just like a rocket. Ning Feng proposed that he and Duan should go and have something to eat together, and Duan suggested that they eat at his place. A few moments later, they arrived at Duan's villa. Ning Feng was amazed, and he inquired if it was the house the city provided him with. Duan clarified that those of 4 turns and above who choose to stay in Taijian City get special treatment, and if Ning Feng liked the place, he should consider moving there, and he could find another place. Ning Feng laughed and reiterated that it was not necessary because he would save up some money and buy one too so he could be his neighbor. Duan proposed that if Ning Feng is in need of money, he has some as well, but Ning Feng insisted that there was no way he could use Duan's money. Ning Feng considered that he had earned a fair amount of crystal coins from selling equipment lately and converting it to cash. Buying a villa isn't a problem at all, but it was just that way, he wouldn't have many crystals left, and if he needed them later, it is always a bit troublesome, so there is no rush to move in, and there was no need to worry too much. A few moments later, Ning Feng was drinking the beverage Duan served in his home. He commented that it was refreshing. Duan noted that the villa area has its own chefs. He mentioned that he has already called them and they will be there soon, and Ning Feng responded that it was quite convenient. Duan's phone started ringing. Duan picked up Zhang Jai's call, and Zhang Jai immediately informed that there is something they might need his help with. Zhang Jai explained that the investigative team from above is probing the disasters that struck their city, but there are some complications, and he would like to discuss them with Duan. Duan stared inquisitively at Ning Feng. Ning Feng was puzzled when he saw Duan stare. Duan realized that Zhang Jai's investigation might affect Ning Feng, so he concluded he should ask Ning Feng's opinion first, and he apologized to Zhang Jai and remarked that he might not have time that day. Zhang Jai replied that it was no worry, and whenever Duan had time in the next 2 days, he should just contact him. A few moments later, Ning Feng inquired about the investigation team, and he commented that he wondered what kind of people they were. On the other hand, a man declared that they were from the forsaken city of Qinyu. He concluded that the notion of a mysterious boss is laughable. At the city's meeting room, the investigation team gathered. The man declared if anyone there has ever seen the so-called mysterious big shot. Quan Lan stated no. The man remarked why there was such a widespread rumor outside that the mysterious big shot saved Qinyu City when no one had seen him. Quan Lan noted that it was mainly because the dungeon invasion stopped at that time, and the mutants assisting in the invasion were also wiped out. The man mentioned that Quan Lan shouldn't joke because the danger level of the dungeon invasion varies, so until they investigate it thoroughly, it can't be used as evidence. He commented what their so-called mysterious big shot had done about the other 2 incidents in the dungeon, which had 2 attacks above king level. Quan Lan fell silent when she heard the man's question. Meanwhile, Kai Wai pondered that in order to protect Ning Feng, Quan Lan used her authority to modify all the information that might involve Ning Feng so all the pressure from that matter falls on her. Zhang Jai came in and reported that he just called Duan, but he expressed that he was busy that day. The man indicated that he was annoyed by those free adventurers who are out of control and that Duan was just a stray dog without a guild who was acting like he was busy. He observed that they should just forget it because he will take full charge of the investigation so they all go do something else. A few moments later, the man arrived at the Awei Tomb dungeon. He stepped on a twig, and it made a loud cracking sound as it snapped into 2. Noticing the man's presence, one of the dungeon guards conveyed who was there. The man greeted the guards good evening and affirmed that it was him, and one of the guards explained that it was the one from the investigation team. The man maintained that he would like to come in and do some investigation, and one of the guards recounted that it was no problem and requested for the man to come in. The man walked through the portal and was transported to the ruined dungeon. He pointed out that although it was not his first time coming in, seeing that level of destruction still makes him marvel, and he contended what kind of power could destroy a dungeon so thoroughly. The man acknowledged that even the remnants of the dark power are still pure and powerful, so no matter what nonsense mysterious big shot the others were talking about, in the face of such existence, they are just like ants. He professed that it was truly an exciting place. The dark power slowly crept into the man's hand. A mask emerged from the remnants of the dark power on the ground. The man reached out to grab the mask. He laughed and claimed that it was indeed worthy of a king-level threat, as the surrounding area is filled with powerful forces, and it was all his. On the other hand, Ning Feng was still at Duan's villa. Ning Feng voiced that his playmates should stop being a pervert and behave. The system notified Ning Feng that it had detected the final relic. Ning Feng mused that it seemed like something was contacting him through its aura. He reflected that if he concentrated, the connection would become clearer and he should be able to find its location. Ning Feng picked up his jacket. He wore his jacket and prepared to leave. Duan responded where he was going, and Ning Feng just shared that he was heading out for a bit. Ning Feng replied that Duan should finish his round for him and try not to lose any ranks. A few moments later, Ning Feng traveled on the streets in a taxi. Ning Feng outlined that from the navigation, it seems like the thing is somewhere near the treacherous graveyard. He considered that he should wait a moment because the thing seemed to be moving. On the other hand, at the entrance to the treacherous graveyard dungeon, the guards were alerted that an unidentified creature was spotted in the treacherous graveyard. The guards queried what that thing was. It was the man from the investigation team, and he merged with the mask he found earlier. The man insisted that he couldn't move and implored if anyone could help. Meanwhile, Ning Feng's taxi and other vehicles were blocked from entering the area around the dungeon. One of the adventurers guarding the blockade informed that there is danger ahead, so no passage is allowed. The taxi driver uttered that it seems that they can't proceed any further ahead, and Ning Feng reasoned that it was okay as he will get off there. Ning Feng judged that the thing seemed to have stopped for the time being. On the other hand, the man kept requesting for help. Quan Lan and the others arrived at the scene to defeat the monster. Seeing the situation, Quan Lan demanded what was going on there. More damage has been inflicted on the treacherous graveyard dungeon. Kai Wai healed the intensely injured Quan Lan in her lap. Quan Lan groaned in pain, and the life in her eyes was almost gone. Kai Wai believed that thanks to the equipment Ning Feng gave her, she could skip the chanting time and proceed with the rescue at the fastest speed. But currently, the situation is critical because even the strongest Quan Lan can't stop the monster. Regaining her strength, Quan Lan stated where the monster was, and Kai Wai remarked that it had headed toward the downtown area. Kai Wai mentioned that Zhang Jai has already called Duan for help, but she doesn't know if they could make it in time. Quan Lan considered that Duan's strength is similar to hers, so he alone is no match for the monster, but the person behind him may be their last hope. On the other hand, the monster cut the trees blocking its way to the downtown area. It was sinister and eager to destroy more things. Ning Feng observed that the end-of-term skull was too big. The monster was startled when it noticed the small Ning Feng, who just calmly stood ahead. Ning Feng inquired if he needed to knock the monster down with another forbidden spell first. The monster quickly moved and lunged towards Ning Feng. Its sharp leg was about to hit Ning Feng, but Ning Feng was unfazed. The monster dug its leg into Ning Feng's head. But Ning Feng's foul earth defense skill was activated, and it created a foul earth shell to protect him from the attack. The monster wondered how it was possible and surmised that it was such a powerful force. The system notified Ning Feng that it detected the end-of-term skull and queried if it should start absorption. Ning Feng noted that it was only the time and added if it could be that the requirement for absorption is being able to get close. He was startled when he started the absorption of the end-of-term skull. Ning Feng released a powerful energy that started consuming the monster. Bit by bit, the monster dissolved like scales. Each of those scales contained a fragment of a memory to which Ning Feng absorbed. One of the images on those scales was a ferocious monster that was surrounded by mysterious figures in cloaks. The system notified Ning Feng that all his attributes were increased by 100. Ning Feng was amazed, and he commented that even if there is a 3-star profession going from level 0 to 3rd transformation, there has never been such a wealthy distribution. He uttered that besides attributes, it seems like something else was absorbed together with it because there are some strange images in his head. Duan arrived and inquired what happened there. Ning Feng informed that there was a monster earlier, and he took care of it. Seeing the man that was trapped by the monster, Ning Feng noted that it looked like he should be taken care of. Duan reasoned that Zhang Jai just said that there was a monster invasion, and as he wondered if it could be the man, he concluded that he understood Ning Feng taking care of monsters, but the nearby aura didn't feel like it was from a powerful spell, and he wondered how Ning Feng did it. Ning Feng responded that Duan came at the right time, so he will leave the cleanup to him, to which Duan acknowledged that he understood. Duan was amazed at Ning Feng's speed. He declared to confirm if Ning Feng was a mage, and he stated that the speed was already surpassing many agility-based professions. Duan affirmed that Ning Feng is indeed the boss, and he was too shallow. The next day, the man was brought to Kinyu prison. Quan Lan insisted that it was right that the guy was the monster because he had already confessed. She explained that the man revealed that he accidentally found the demon in a mysterious realm, which could control the dark power to become his own strength. But the demon consumed his body and merged with the man. Quan Lan shared that the man took the opportunity of the investigation to enter the mysterious realm to absorb the dark power, but he didn't expect the demon to lose control. Zhang Jai expressed that it was great because there really is a mysterious boss protecting Kinyu City. Quan Lan responded yes. Kai Wai just smiled knowingly and remained silent. Zhang Jai asked if he had seen the mysterious boss. Duan confirmed that indeed, he has had the honor of seeing the mysterious boss once. Both Quan Lan and Kai Wai were surprised by Duan's response. Zhang Jai stated if he could introduce them to the mysterious boss and remarked that if the mysterious expert is willing to stay in Kinyu City permanently, whatever needs arise, they could try their best to fulfill them. Duan noted that the boss has a low-key personality and rarely shows up, so Zhang Jai should give up the idea. He reflected that thanks to him and Ning Feng, they had planned ahead and passed the buck to the non-existent mysterious expert. Duan reasoned that without evidence anyway, they couldn't verify anything. Zhang Jai commented that it was a pity as there are probably countless people trying their best to curry favor with powerful figures like the mysterious expert. Duan mentioned that the expert has relatives in Kinyu City, so he will take special care of that place, and Zhang Jai doesn't need to worry, but correspondingly, he also doesn't want to be disturbed. When Quan Lan heard Duan mention relatives, she presumed that it was no wonder. Meanwhile, Kai Wai wondered if the mysterious boss was Ning Feng's elder. On the other hand, Ning Feng was back at his family home. He declared that it turned out that the so-called final relics are the remains left behind by the dead secret realm demon lords. Ning Feng observed that the images that appeared in his mind before were actually fragments of the realm lord's memories all absorbed together. He asserted that he didn't intend to become a realm lord, and he voiced what the use of those things was. Ning Feng realized and pointed out that some of those things seemed to be really useful. He added that those realms, under the accumulation of the dark power, will experience periodic enhancements. Ning Feng indicated that once the invaded timeline cannot resist, it will bring about the end of the world. He expressed that in their timeline, there are few powerful individuals who could reach the fourth transformation due to the incomplete cultivation path of the Awakened Ones, and furthermore, the professions of the Awakened Ones also seem to be far from optimal. Ning Feng proclaimed that the information extracted from the Realm Lord's memory seems rather ominous, and if things continued like that, humanity would only have one dead end, and even if he had the strength to protect himself, he couldn't live alone in a world full of monsters. He explained that, fortunately, it was not just their timeline that has been subjected to realm invasions. In other timelines, some have successfully repelled the invaders, so as long as he collects more remains and spreads the useful experiences within, it should have a significant impact. However, how to spread it specifically needs to be carefully considered. Ning Feng revealed that after all, that experience exceeds current cognition, and if mishandled, it may lead to unforeseen consequences. Ning Feng's phone rang as Wang Yu called him. As soon as Ning Feng picked up the call, he uttered what was up and how he could help. Wang Yu has completed her S-rank task and has successfully transitioned to Sharp Shadow, and she affirmed that she would treat Ning Feng to dinner that night, so he must come. Ning Feng responded that it was a sure thing because he had never missed Wang Yu treating him to dinner. Wang Yu acknowledged that it was a deal and that he should wait for her to send him the location, and Ning Feng confirmed that he got it. She walked down the stairs towards her team. Wang Yu noticed what her teammates held. They all congratulated Wang Yu on her successful second transformation. Zhao Cheng was also with Wang Yu, and the people around were amazed that they achieved the second transformation at such a young age. Zhao Cheng called Wang Yu and informed that he had reserved a private room at the best restaurant in the city, so they should celebrate. Wang Yu apologized and claimed that she had other plans that night, so they should have fun, and she would host the next night and invite everyone again. Zhao Cheng retorted no and that completing the mission was hard, so he pressed if they couldn't postpone anything else, but Wang Yu clarified that it was rather an important matter. The atmosphere turned gloomy as Wang Yu left her team and crossed the street. Zhao Cheng clicked her tongue and complained that Wang Yu just completed the second transformation and already acted like a stranger. The cleric maintained that Wang Yu shouldn't say that because Wang Yu isn't that kind of person, so she must have something important. But Zhao Cheng inquired if they were all exhausted from trying to keep up with Wang Yu's footsteps. He conveyed that Wang Yu not only completed the S-rank transition task, but also awakened a new hidden profession, so the distance between her and everyone else will only grow larger. The cleric got concerned for Wang Yu. Zhao Cheng disclosed that he was afraid that one day, Wang Yu would completely leave their team behind. Evening came, and Ning Feng met with Wang Yu at the restaurant. Wang Yu remarked that the roast whole lamb there is not expensive and the taste is excellent, so Ning Feng should hurry up and try it. Ning Feng replied that indeed, only by following Wang Yu could he taste various delicacies. Wang Yu mentioned that mainly, she would thank Ning Feng for the emblem he gave her because it really helped a lot. Ning Feng inquired if she was saying that the emblem activated a new hidden profession. He believed that in the memories of the Demon King, it was indeed discovered that the Awakeners and the professions of their time and space have not reached their optimal form, so he wondered if those emblems could be one of the ways to enhance them. Wang Yu noted that Ning Feng was right, and as she queried if he knew where those emblems were found, Ning Feng admitted that he was not really sure. She sighed and responded that it would be great if they could buy them because she wanted to give them to Ning Feng and the companions in her team. Ning Feng considered that Wang Yu was still the same because every time something good happens, she always counts him in. Wang Yu observed that it was okay. She added that she would figure out the emblem situation, and Ning Feng shouldn't give up on leveling up because it was dangerous at that moment, and having some self-protection ability will always be useful, and when she finds a suitable emblem for him, maybe he could activate a new profession too. Ning Feng stated that it is troublesome to level up on his own, and as he commented if Wang Yu protecting him wasn't enough, Wang Yu insisted that Ning Feng shouldn't give her that smile because she is serious. Wang Yu flinched in pain. Ning Feng asked what was wrong. Wang Yu explained that it was nothing and that she just got a little injured while completing a mission. Ning Feng probed if she didn't get treated, and Wang Yu clarified that she did, but it was still an S-rank mission, so the boss damage is not low, and she still needs some time to recover. He wondered if S-rank class change missions are that difficult. An unknown number called Ning Feng. As soon as Ning Feng picked up the call, the man rudely demanded if he was Ning Feng, and as Ning Feng questioned who the guy was, he wondered who it was and figured that he had such a harsh tone. The man declared that Ning Feng didn't need to know who he was and that he was asking him where he got the emblem from. Wang Yu wondered what the matter was. Ning Feng reported that some guy with a very harsh tone pressed where he got the emblem from. Wang Yu demanded what was going on and revealed that she hadn't told anyone outside their team. Ning Feng proposed that Wang Yu should just forget about the man and they should just eat. But the man called again. The man barked that Ning Feng dared to hang up on him so he would pay for it. Ning Feng presumed that Wang Yu was nearby, so he shouldn't be too loud. He just quickly dropped the call. A few moments later, Ning Feng was laughing as he joked that he was full. Wang Yu quizzed if he was sure that he didn't need her to walk him home. Ning Feng affirmed that there was no need because it was just a harassing call. The two of them uttered goodbye to each other. A few moments later, Ning Feng came back to his home. He put in his keys and unlocked his door. Ning Feng yawned as he entered his home and was not paying attention to his surroundings. He was taken by surprise when he realized what happened to his home. The entire room was a mess and his things were thrown all over the floor. A man came out of his room. The man shouted if the young master Ning Feng was back. Ning Feng interrogated if he was the guy who just called. The man confirmed that it was right and that he warned Ning Feng that he shouldn't refuse the toast and drink the penalty because if he had answered the question honestly, there wouldn't have been any trouble. Ning Feng grilled who sent him there. The man sneered that Ning Feng was just a piece of trash who had just awakened, yet he dared to talk to him like that, and he scoffed if his teacher didn't teach him to show proper respect when facing the strong. Suddenly, another assassin appeared behind Ning Feng. He swung his blade at Ning Feng, but Ning Feng effortlessly dodged his attack. Ning Feng raised his elbows to counterattack. The assassin was hit in the face by Ning Feng's elbow. Ning Feng's attack was so strong that the assassin slumped on the floor after crashing against the wall and leaving a trail of blood on it. The blonde man was surprised and terrified when he saw what Ning Feng did. Ning Feng remarked that the blonde man should let him give the sentence back, that when facing inquiries from strong individuals, he should maintain the appropriate level of respect. The blonde man believed that it was impossible because the reports clearly stated that Ning Feng was just a one-star professional. He also assumed that Ning Feng was a mage, so there was no way he could possibly defeat a 3-star assassin barehanded. On the other hand, Ning Feng considered that it was truly deserving of the all attributes plus 100 because both reaction and speed have seen significant improvements. So even without spells, he could handle many situations. Ning Feng quickly dodged the shuriken that the blonde man suddenly threw at him. The blonde man realized that the situation wasn't good, so he should retreat. He ran and tried to escape towards the balcony. The blonde man managed to jump and escape, but Ning Feng suddenly grabbed his leg. The blonde man got caught by Ning Feng, and he slammed against the balcony wall after he failed to jump away. A few moments later, Ning Feng instructed that the men should clean up the mess he has caused first. He noted that the cabinet was broken too, so the men will have to compensate for that. The blonde man insisted that they had already given Ning Feng everything they had on them. Ning Feng demanded that the men should spill it and inquired who sent them. The blonde man confessed that it was Zhao Cheng, the young master of the Lion's Vigil Guild, and that Zhao Cheng claimed that Ning Feng has a unique emblem that can't be found elsewhere, so he hired them to find out more about him. Ning Feng reflected on whether Zhao Cheng wasn't the mage from the guild, the one Wang Yu mentioned, and concluded that it was no wonder. He reasoned that since Zhao Cheng had laid hands on him, he shouldn't blame him for being impolite, and that there happens to be a forbidden curse that he hasn't used yet, so Zhao Cheng should consider himself lucky. It was the skill, Disturbance of the Mind. Ning Feng applied the skill on the men Zhao Cheng sent. On the other hand, Zhao Cheng remarked that Wang Yu didn't come and wondered what those other people meant. He suggested that they might as well leave early and go somewhere else to have fun. The mage inquired about the emblem, and Zhao Cheng responded that he has sent someone to find Ning Feng. But if the kid doesn't cooperate, they should let him experience what it means to wish for death. The mage questioned what Zhao Cheng would do if Wang Yu found out. Zhao Cheng admitted that he can't control that many things and pressed the mage if he wanted to see Wang Yu suffer alone. The mage conceded that it was true, but lamented that the transfer mission didn't go as Zhao Cheng intended to teach Wang Yu a lesson. Zhao Cheng explained that he originally told the mage to let the boss go to suppress Wang Yu's spirit and scare her a bit, as he planned to make his move later and be a hero to save her. He added that he didn't expect Wang Yu to fight so hard, risking injury to defeat the boss. The mage and Zhao Cheng were both startled when they saw the silhouette of the blonde man blocking their way. Zhao Cheng demanded to know how the blonde man sneaked up on him like that. He probed whether the blonde man got the information he wanted. But instead of giving Zhao Cheng an answer, the blonde man interrogated Zhao Cheng about whether he caused Wang Yu's injury. The mage and Zhao Cheng were startled by the blonde man's question. Zhao Cheng retorted that the blonde man dared to meddle in his affairs and demanded to know if he had a problem. Suddenly, red mist emerged from the blonde man's body. His eyes were sharp, and he glared at Zhao Cheng and the mage. Zhao Cheng and the mage were both stunned when the blonde man suddenly grabbed them by their throats. The blonde man raised both Zhao Cheng and the mage off the ground. Controlling the blonde man, Ning Feng declared that the person who harmed Wang Yu didn't deserve to live in that world. However, he wouldn't let Zhao Cheng die too easily either. Ning Feng began absorbing the essence of Zhao Cheng and the mage. He remarked that since Zhao Cheng mentioned that if life is worse than death, they could experience it as well. Ning Feng drained them of their essence more intensely. Zhao Cheng and the mage got so drained that their bodies turned to ashes. Suddenly, the blonde man's body slowly began to dissipate. His body turned to ashes as well. Ning Feng observed that those people had all turned to ashes, so there shouldn't be any evidence left, which was a good way to cover up the tracks. But he remarked that the incident had been really dangerous. Ning Feng explained that he lived in an ordinary neighborhood, which couldn't stop high-level awakened from coming and going, and although he didn't need to be afraid of them with his strength, he couldn't stay at home 24 hours a day. He revealed that he had originally planned to organize some important things based on the memories of the Demon Lord, and fortunately, it hadn't started yet. Otherwise, if the intruder found out, it would definitely cause some trouble. Ning Feng concluded that it was better to tidy up and move to Duan's place first because, after all, Duan was a fourth transformation powerhouse, and the security situation in the high-end villa area was also very good. A few moments later, Ning Feng arrived at Duan's villa. Duan remarked that those men were simply fearless for daring to attack a big shot, and suggested Ning Feng rest for a while because he would check immediately if there was anyone else causing trouble behind his back. Ning Feng replied that there was no need to hurry with that and mentioned that he actually had something else he wanted to bring up with Duan. He inquired if Duan knew any reliable alchemists. Duan responded by wondering what Ning Feng's requirements for the alchemist were. Ning Feng explained that it would be a higher skill level, trustworthy, preferably with a simple relationship, and a freelancer so it would be more simple. Duan mentioned that the alchemists he knew were quite skilled, but they had joined large guilds, and Ning Feng responded that it was not very suitable then. Ning Feng recalled that in the memories he absorbed, the Demon Lord once killed several high-level alchemists, and the potions they brewed were significantly better than the level in their world. But unfortunately, he didn't understand the specifics, and he could only copy down the scattered prescriptions and discuss them with a professional. However, Ning Feng reasoned that alchemists who joined large guilds were often not free to act, and the risk of leaking secrets was higher. He concluded that with that day's lesson, he didn't want to attract greedy flies too early. Ning Feng requested that if there was a chance later, Duan would keep an eye out for him, and he would also ask others. A few moments later, Ning Feng consulted Wang Yu about a reliable alchemist, and she responded that, funny enough, there was one. Ning Feng wondered if it was real. Wang Yu explained that their team's priest, Zhao Cheng, her brother, was a good alchemist who had originally planned to join their guild, but it seemed that he and Zhao Cheng didn't get along, so they didn't reach an agreement. So if Ning Feng was interested, she could introduce them to each other. Ning Feng recalled that it was the guy Zhao Cheng again, and believed Wang Yu was really unlucky for having such a teammate. But fortunately, he had helped her resolve a major issue so Zhao Cheng wouldn't cause trouble again in the future. Wang Yu inquired what Ning Feng needed the alchemist for, and Ning Feng explained that he found some prescriptions at home and wanted someone to help him look at them. She suspiciously wondered if Ning Feng had found the prescriptions at home again. Ning Feng chuckled and explained that he was in the middle of cleaning up at his home, and Wang Yu told Ning Feng to wait a moment as she would arrange things right away, to which Ning Feng responded, "All right." A few moments later, Ning Feng greeted Zhu Wai and introduced himself. Zhu Wai also returned the greeting and, as he introduced himself, offered to take a look at the prescription. Meanwhile, Zhu Ting was cursing, and she complained that she wanted to get closer to Ning Feng. But her old brother had actually kicked her out, and Wang Yu remarked that it was because Zhu Ting was too noisy. There was a sign at the door where Zhu Wai and Ning Feng were having a meeting. Zhu Wai explained that the ingredients in the prescription weren't particularly special, but the refining method was new to him and seemed quite complex. He inquired if Ning Feng knew what the potion did. Ning Feng responded that it was said to increase experience gained by 100%. Zhu Wai was so shocked that his jaw dropped when he heard what Ning Feng claimed. He pointed out that the experience potions on the market could only increase by a maximum of 40%, and they were very expensive, and he wondered if even 1-star or 2-star professionals wouldn't be able to level up quickly if there was a potion that could increase experience gained by 100%. Ning Feng replied that it probably would, but he was not sure either, and it was not easy to ask around, so he had come to consult Zhu Wai. Zhu Wai requested Ning Feng to wait and urged that he should let him go upstairs and conduct an experiment. He called Zhu Ting and instructed that she should come in and serve tea to the guests. Time passed, and Zhu Ting entertained Wang Yu and Ning Feng as guests in their house. Suddenly, they heard a loud noise coming from upstairs. The three of them simultaneously inquired what was going on. Zhu Ting mentioned that she will go up and check. She was startled when she saw a slime fly by the corner of the hallway. Zhu Ting explained that it was the slime her brother used for the experiment. Suddenly, a blazing fire flew towards the slime and obliterated it. Zhu Ting, Ning Feng, and Wang Yu were all surprised with what they saw. Zhu Ting called her brother, and Zhu Wai confirmed that it worked. It really was 100%. The fire that flew earlier came from Zhu Wai's hands. Both Zhu Ting and Wang Yu were puzzled when they heard what Zhu Wai declared. Zhu Wai summoned Ning Feng. He mentioned that he tried a bit of the potion Ning Feng brought, used it on the slime, and the experience gained was really 100%. Ning Feng assumed that as long as it works, the other prescriptions should work too. Zhu Wai enthusiastically used his fireball skill again. Zhu Ting mentioned that her brother treasures his lab so much that he doesn't even let her up there, but currently he is dismantling it himself. Time passed and the sun began to set. Zhu Ting and Wang Yu both wondered if the experience gain was really 100%. Ning Feng just calmly nodded in response. Zhu Wai reminded them that they should keep their voices down and keep it a secret. But Zhu Ting pointed out that Zhu Wai was the loudest earlier. Zhu Wai inquired what Ning Feng was planning to do next and suggested that if he sold the potion, he could make an unimaginable fortune because it is dangerous everywhere at the moment and no one would refuse something that boosts their strength. Ning Feng considered the idea. Suddenly, his phone in his pocket rang. Ning Feng mentioned that they should wait a moment and let him check the message. Kai Wai messaged the class group and informed them that the school was planning to organize all the senior 3 students to a neighboring city's secret area for leveling up starting from next Monday. But due to limited space, each class needed to use it in shifts and in designated areas, and she requested for them to prepare seriously and cooperate actively. Ma Ziobo replied and expressed that it was great because if they don't level up, they will fail the college entrance examination. Zhang Luo responded and mentioned that it was a limited space, and he heard that there are a lot of people in the secret area recently, so there were not enough monsters to go around, which made Ma Ziobo wonder why it was the case. Fang Yu responded and explained that people are anxious everywhere at the moment and many 1-star and 2-star professionals are starting to level up again to have the ability to protect themselves. So he went to buy experience potions, but they were already sold out, and they were gone as soon as they were restocked. Zhang Luo added that without experience points, they will fall behind even more. And Jun Honor responded and mentioned that they should stop talking because she was already getting anxious. Ning Feng reflected deeply as he read the messages on the class group chat. He stated that as for the experience potions, he plans to use them for his own people first and sell them after some time. Addressing Ning Feng as boss, Zhu Ting inquired if she is one of his own people, and Ning Feng affirmed, yes, of course. Zhu Ting declared that in the future, she and Wang Yu will be Ning Feng's bodyguards, so he should use her brother as he pleases and not be polite, and Zhu Wai acknowledged that it was more like it. Meanwhile, Ning Feng considered that with such a hot commodity, once it hits the market, it will definitely cause a sensation. And if people see huge profits, there will be flies like Zhao Cheng that would constantly be buzzing around. He reasoned that to keep things calm, it is better to first cultivate the people around him and support his own influence. Ning Feng concluded that when someone tries to play dirty tricks, they will have to weigh them carefully. Ning Feng remembered and inquired if he was right that the name of the berserker in Wang Yu's team is Zhu Jiangshu. He remarked that the experience potion could count as his share too. Wang Yu queried if Ning Feng was being real and commented that it was great, while Zhu Ting mentioned that Zhu Jiangshu was worried the other day that he couldn't get into the same university as them, so Ning Feng is the best. Ning Feng considered that Zhu Jiangshu is quite strong, and he gets along well with Wang Yu, so they can consider using him. Zhu Wai called Ning Feng his buddy, but he corrected himself and stated that he should call him boss. He quizzed Ning Feng if he had other prescriptions, and Ning Feng responded yes. Zhu Wai fell silent as he looked at the other prescription Ning Feng gave him. He observed that there are a lot of ingredients written on it, and he hasn't heard of some of them. He declared that he had seen the materials on those 2 cards before, but with his current level, he couldn't make them. Ning Feng believed that those are prescriptions from another world indeed, and it is good if they could use a few of them. Wang Yu chimed in and added that since they are on the subject, she has a suggestion. She uttered that when the first batch of experience potions is made, they should call Zhu Jiangshu and level up together, to which Zhu Ting agreed. Wang Yu voiced that Ning Feng was coming too. Ning Feng pressed Wang Yu why it was him again, and she asserted that Ning Feng shouldn't worry because the city just issued a notice allowing guilds to organize teams to level up outside, so he should just come with them. Ning Feng was about to say something, but Zhu Wai disclosed that as per his calculation, if they want enough potions for all of them, they should be ready by next Monday. And as Wang Yu specified that they should set their meeting for next Monday and thanked Zhu Wai, Zhu Ting conveyed that Wang Yu shouldn't mention it because her brother is idle anyway. Ning Feng questioned them why they didn't ask him for his opinion first. Monday came, and Ning Feng went to the meetup place. Ning Feng expressed that he was there, and Wang Yu indicated that Ning Feng should just wait by the roadside because they will be there in a moment. Suddenly, a bus stopped by the corner of the street. The passengers were Ning Feng's classmates, and as one of them noticed Ning Feng, he wondered the others if it was that Ning Feng from their class, to which another student agreed and professed that they were going out to level up that day, but Ning Feng was not there. Another student probed what Ning Feng was doing, acting like a tag-along, and recounted that even if Ning Feng wanted to tag along, no one would pick him because with such a low level, no one would protect him in the dungeon. The streetlight turned green, signaling for the bus to go. As the bus passed by Ning Feng, one of the students posed why they were bothering talking about that waste and opined that it was better to get some more sleep, to which another student agreed but imparted that no one knows how long they will have to wait once they get to the secret area. A few moments later, a lot of people started lining up at the dungeon entrance. As the students arrived, one of them revealed that there were too many people there. One of the students interrogated Kai Wai when they could go in, and Kai Wai answered that it would probably take about 2 hours. Another student mused if they have to wait that long, and Kai Wai explained that they are in the second class, so being able to go in with the first batch is already pretty good. Suddenly, one of the students noticed Ning Feng. He challenged why Ning Feng was there too, and he was even with Wang Yu. The student petitioned why Ning Feng could go in without waiting in line. Kai Wai clarified that Ning Feng is being led by the Sushi Guild, so he should be going directly to the depths of the dungeon, and there are fewer people there, so it is different from the students. One of the students confronted Ning Feng for daring to go to the depths of the dungeon when any random monster there could crush him, while the other student inquired what the difference was between him and that kind of waste like Ning Feng, and he insisted that he also wanted to be led by the Sushi Guild and Wang Goddess. Suddenly, Gu Yunju excused himself and queried the student if he meant Wang Yu, the one ranked 5th on the national super rookie list, when he spoke Wang Goddess. The student replied yes. Gu Yunju concluded that it was great, as it seems that they have come to the right place, and Chang Mukui recommended that they should go in then. The group walked towards the dungeon entrance without waiting in line as well. The student implored who they were and remarked that they were acting all high and mighty, and a female student inquired him if he didn't know those people. The female student informed that those three are like Wang Yu, all rookies on the national super rookie list. She pointed out that ranked 4th is Chang Mukui. The student noted that ranked 3rd is Lai Qi. She added that the second ranked is Gu Yunju. Ning Feng and his group arrived deep in the dungeon. Suddenly, Zhu Jiangshu screamed and inquired if it was the experience potion with a 100% bonus. Zhu Ting stated that Zhu Jiangshu should lower his voice, and as she queried him if he was afraid that others won't hear him, Zhu Jiangshu apologized and remarked that he got too excited. Zhu Jiangshu questioned if he was right that the potion must be very expensive, but Zhu Wai noted that it was actually not too expensive because the materials are not rare and the refining method is not complicated. But Zhu Wai declared that the prescription seemed valuable precisely because of that, because if one could enhance their strength with relatively low costs, he believes no one would refuse, and just with that, Ning Feng could become a guest of honor in any top guild. Zhu Ting mentioned that they all benefited from the big boss at that time, while Zhu Jiangshu voiced that there was no need for many thanks, so if there is anything in the future, Ning Feng should just order them directly, and Ning Feng replied that they were all on the same team, so there was no need to be polite. On the other hand, Wang Yu pondered that Ning Feng isn't good at socializing, so he has always had very few friends. She reflected that it was especially when Ning Feng failed his first awakening at 16. Wang Yu considered that people at school were mocking Ning Feng, and he became even more reclusive. She mused that it was rare to see Ning Feng chatting so happily, so she hoped he could pick himself up from that point onward. Wang Yu cleared her throat and responded that she should listen to herself. She observed that they don't have a tank or magic output at that time, so they need to ensure safety as much as possible in combat, and Ning Feng doesn't need to act to avoid attracting the attention of monsters. Wang Yu indicated that she will pull the mobs, Zhu Jiangshu will mainly tank, Zhu Ting will focus on buffs and protective skills, and Zhu Wai will use potions opportunistically, and everyone uttered that they understood. Meanwhile, Ning Feng contemplated that leveling up like that is too slow, but for the sake of everyone's face, he will go along with it. He supposed that after all, leveling up quickly with forbidden curses isn't urgent, and it was just to gauge everyone's strength. Wang Yu fired her arrow made up of aura. The aura got more powerful as it approached the monsters. It hit the monsters in the area. The other monsters that were unharmed quickly ran towards the direction where Wang Yu was. Zhu Ting quickly raised her staff to prepare her spells. She activated her buff spell. Zhu Jiangshu immediately felt the effects of the buff spell. He looked so fierce as he swung his axe in the air. Zhu Jiangshu slammed his axe on the ground and eliminated the monsters in front of him. Zhu Wai quickly swooped in and used the potions. The potions hit the monsters that were just eliminated. Zhu Wai laughed and commented that the experience points were increasing so quickly, and at that rate, he would soon be able to refine a new type of potion. Zhu Jiangshu and Zhu Ting explained that the two of them could also reach second transformation before the college entrance examination and get into a top university with Wang Yu. Suddenly, Gu Yunju let out the laugh he was trying to hold. Zhu Jiangshu posed who was there. Gu Yunju apologized and recounted that he didn't mean to laugh, but he couldn't help it. He conveyed that someone who hasn't even reached second transformation is talking about getting into a top university so casually, and it was quite interesting. Both Zhu Jiangshu and Zhu Ting recognized Gu Yunju and spelled out that he was on the national super rookie list. Gu Yunju laughed and described that it looked like their fame wasn't bad because they were recognized so quickly. Zhu Jiangshu surmised that Gu Yunju and his group were not from around Kinyu City, and he wondered why they were there. Wang Yu chimed in, and as she recapped that they were leveling up, she pressed Gu Yunju if he needed something. Gu Yunju stated that they have come specifically to find Wang Yu and ask her. He inquired of Wang Yu if she had any interest in joining their team. Zhu Jiangshu and Zhu Ting were surprised when they heard what Gu Yunju remarked. Wang Yu quickly mentioned that there was no need because she has her own team. Gu Yunju indicated that he knew that Wang Yu's team also has a mage, Zhao Cheng, ranked 14th on the national super rookie list, and if Zhao Cheng is willing, he could also give it a try because although his ranking is a bit low, they should consider it as a favor to Wang Yu. But Wang Yu inquired of Gu Yunju if she did not make herself clear and declared that she didn't want to join any other guild. Gu Yunju insisted that Wang Yu shouldn't rush to refuse because in a small place like Kinyu City, information might be a bit outdated, so she should let him explain. He noted that due to frequent anomalies in the dungeon, monsters are becoming increasingly difficult to deal with, and the three key universities have raised their assessment standards. Gu Yunju remarked that in that year, the three key universities were only recruiting elite teams or individuals with very favorable conditions, but limited spots. He explained that it is a rare opportunity, and the rookies on the list are all restructuring their teams. He added that they were no exception, and the reason for inviting Wang Yu was precisely because of her team. Gu Yunju insisted that Wang Yu shouldn't forget that she is destined to become strong. He glanced over Wang Yu's team. Zhu Jiangshu and Zhu Ting were both horrified when they realized what Gu Yunju was implying. Gu Yunju declared that weakness is the greatest sin. Wang Yu was pissed, and she summoned her bow. Gu Yunju cautioned that Wang Yu shouldn't get too excited, and he pressed her if he was right that she wouldn't want to fight him there as a ranged DPS. Zhu Ting urged that they should forget it and that they should level up elsewhere and ignore those people. Wang Yu walked away, and everyone followed. On the other hand, Ning Feng was thinking that Zhu Jiangshu really needs to awaken a new profession for Wang Yu, as he doesn't know if Zhu Jiangshu could beat Gu Yunju. Suddenly, Lai Qi blocked Ning Feng's way. He pressed Ning Feng if he was Zhao Cheng, and Ning Feng answered no. Lai Qi sneered that Ning Feng should get lost because he is useless. Ning Feng was enraged, and he glared at Lai Qi. Zhu Jiangshu quickly defended Ning Feng and insisted that they were going too far. Lai Qi queried Zhu Jiangshu if he believed he could stand up for others with just himself. He threw a punch at Zhu Jiangshu. Zhu Jiangshu managed to block Lai Qi's punch with his arms, but Lai Qi's punch was so powerful that it went through Zhu Jiangshu's defense. Wang Yu got worried and called Zhu Jiangshu, but as she was about to run towards Zhu Jiangshu, Gu Yunju blocked her. Wang Yu snapped that Gu Yunju should get lost. Gu Yunju was pissed by what Wang Yu expressed. Suddenly, Zhu Jiangshu insisted that Wang Yu shouldn't come over because he is fine. But in his mind, Zhu Jiangshu is worried because it seems that he has broken a few ribs and Lai Qi deliberately went too far. Despite the situation, Zhu Jiangshu still declared that Ning Feng should step back and believed that he couldn't get Ning Feng involved. Lai Qi snarled that Zhu Jiangshu was useless. Zhu Jiangshu growled that Lai Qi should go to hell. But to his surprise, Lai Qi's movement was faster than his, and he was about to receive Lai Qi's punch directly to his face. Both Wang Yu and Zhu Ting quickly used their skills to support Zhu Jiangshu. Zhu Jiangshu was taken aback by Lai Qi's speed, and he couldn't react in time. Suddenly, Ning Feng blocked Lai Qi's punch with his palm. Zhu Jiangshu was surprised when he saw how quickly Ning Feng moved in front of him.
Wang Yue got totally blindsided by Ning Feng, her eyes wide with disbelief. Xu Ting and Xu Wei ended up just as shocked, their expressions freezing on the spot. Chang Muqi reacted no differently, her composure breaking apart instantly. Gu Yunzhou flinched hard, clearly rattled by what unfolded. Back in the fight, Li Kei cursed in his head that he couldn't move, and he kept fretting over how Ning Feng, dressed like a mage of all things, could unleash such brute strength. Ning Feng clamped down on his wrist without hesitation. He yanked him skyward with brutal force that ripped him right off balance. Li Kei couldn't believe the speed at which his body whipped up from just that single hand dragging him. Ning Feng hurled him into the air casually, not even straining with the throw. He slammed into the rocks ahead with a bone-jarring crack. The stones shattered apart and spilled down, burying his entire upper body. Ning Feng snapped that he was nothing but trash. Gu Yunzhou spun his back toward Wang Yue, shouting quick instructions about Li Kei. Wang Yue instantly loosed her arrow, and it nailed his backside clean. The sting was so vicious that he hopped off the ground with a shriek, his eyes bulging like they'd pop out. Xu Ting burst into giggles behind Wang Yue, while Wang Yue stayed dead serious. Meanwhile, Chang Muqi stared at Gu Yunzhou in horror, every bit of fear scribbled across her face. She kept reeling over how the mage toppled the berserker barehanded, and the archer smacked down the human shield in close quarters. And as she doubted her own senses, thinking this had to be some dream, she admitted to herself that Gu Yunzhou and Li Kei were supposed to be the elites of Supernova. Ning Feng remarked that he just wanted to keep things quiet and low profile, handling a couple things smoothly, but they kept dragging him out into the open. It all struck him as such a headache. He then called out to Xu Ting, telling her to stop standing around blank and hurry to heal Zhou Jiangshu, and she quickly responded in agreement. She darted off immediately, channeling her skill to patch up Zhou Jiangshu's wounds. Ning Feng followed up by pressing Zhou Jiangshu on what he planned to do about the earlier guy, and Zhou Jiangshu admitted he didn't really know, so he'd just follow orders. Ning Feng noticed how suddenly everyone carried this reverent air around him. He instructed that in that case, Zhou Jiangshu should strip that guy's equipment and treat it as compensation, and Zhou Jiangshu agreed. Gu Yunzhou blurted that it was robbery and challenged him for daring such a thing. But then, terror swept over him when Ning Feng hammered a crushing punch straight into the ground before him without warning. Ning Feng shot back, asking him what his problem was. Gu Yunzhou scrambled, insisting the equipment he wore wasn't bad, and if Ning Feng wanted it, he should go ahead and take it. Ning Feng remarked that at least he was being sensible, adding that he preferred to avoid mess, but if he smelled even a hint of retaliation, that would change things. to which Gu Yunzhou stammered that no such thing would happen since it was their own blindness that dragged this on them. Chung Muki suddenly piped up and, calling him boss, offered all her equipment for his inspection. Ning Feng chuckled that she was sharp-minded. He declared they should head forward and grind some levels. His team immediately echoed that they should move on. Moments later, Wang Yue commented that she'd thought she'd need to help him level up, but no one expected him to be that insanely skilled. Ning Feng replied that she knew he had only recently awakened, and showing off too much could just invite danger. She told him that if he didn't want to talk about it, then she wouldn't push, since he had always been like that anyway. He admitted with a grin that she still understood him best. He jolted when she suddenly tapped his shoulder. She told him she was happy for him regardless. He flashed her a smile and shot her a thumbs up. Shu Ting pressed Ning Feng with a casual grin about whether he had made up his mind on which university he wanted, while Zhou Jiangshu piled on by poking at him about which guild he was planning to join, and Ning Feng shrugged it off, admitting he hadn't even given it proper thought yet. Shu Ting chuckled that it was exactly how it should be, since for someone as insanely strong as the boss, there was no reason to rush at all. And while Zhou Jiangshu confessed he wouldn't be losing sleep over the college entrance exam if he had that kind of talent, Shu Wei called out bluntly that they shouldn't be storming ahead so fast and ought to wait for him. Ning Feng mulled over the idea that both universities and guilds carried strict rules and constant risks of secrets spilling out by accident, so in his view, there was really no need to join either. He then casually suggested they could keep pushing forward to grind levels faster, with Wang Yue pulling bigger waves of monsters each time while he focused on cutting down the bulk, and the rest just sweeping up the strays. And Shu Ting declared that their boss was the one dragging them ahead with sheer momentum. Ning Feng reflected that even if forbidden spells were off limits, with all the stat boosts and passive perks, he could still squeeze plenty of damage out of the spells attached to his gear. A full day passed in the grind, and when the next morning rolled around, Ning Feng strolled back into the villa where Du-an lit up, greeting his boss's return while tossing him a casual hello. He brooded that after so many days of grinding, he had barely scraped out a single level. And without the new type of experience potion, the progress would have been even slower, since he'd gotten so used to nuking with forbidden spells against higher-level monsters that he almost forgot what the normal pace of leveling actually looked like. On the whole, he knew that someone freakishly gifted like Wang Yue, a so-called supernova, could blast through the second transformation in under 2 years. But for your average 1- or 2-star job, it was way simpler to just attend a plain university instead of grinding weak mobs forever. He muttered to himself that he shouldn't stress, since he didn't want to overthink it, and he might as well enjoy a few lazy days at home to unwind because, honestly, what was the point of being stronger if it came with the same headaches everyone else suffered? So he spent his downtime gaming with Du-an, who casually crushed him without effort. He also burned time reading books and dozing off on the couch. He also indulged in barbecue sessions with Du-an. In the middle of one such meal, his phone buzzed out of nowhere. He wondered aloud if it was Yang Xin, and when she answered with a formal greeting, she explained that there was an upcoming auction with some stellar items on the block, and the new master, Tang Yikai, wanted to know if he felt like joining. He casually checked if Tang Yikai had taken over after Master Wang, and she confirmed he got it right. He remarked that since he wasn't busy anyway, he might as well drop by to check it out, and she assured him she would arrive shortly with Master Tan to bring over the catalog for him to browse. He agreed, and as he wondered if the service had gotten that fancy, he reflected that Tang Yikai clearly handled people with sharper tact than Master Wang ever did. Before long, Yang Xin showed up at the villa with Tang Yikai in tow. Tang Yikai respectfully hailed Ning Feng as the boss and introduced himself as an appraiser working at the Qinyu branch of Yancheng Trading Center. Ning Feng replied with polite ease that it was nice meeting him, and Tang Yikai admitted he was only just starting out there and would be relying on everyone to look after him. Inwardly, he recalled how Kai Dongming had firmly instructed him beforehand to bend over backwards with service for that young man. And by those orders, it was practically fine if all of Yuancheng revolved around him alone. He then turned toward Yang Xin and requested she let Ning Feng check the auction catalog, and she quickly complied. Ning Feng skimmed through the pages, finding only mage gear and potions, none of which mattered to him in the slightest. So he flipped through the catalog without a second glance. Tang Yikai figured the quick scan meant nothing caught his interest, so he mistakenly belittled his sharpness, and his effort to play it clever ended up backfiring. Then suddenly, Ning Feng froze with surprise when his eyes locked on the experience potion. Tang Yikai perked up and praised his keen vision, insisting he had nailed the most valuable pick. It was the newest kind of experience potion, capable of doubling experience gains. An insanely rare prize perfect for top adventurers trying to skyrocket their levels. Ning Feng's mind flicked back to when he had shown that potion prescription to Xu Wei. Duan suddenly reminded him that it wasn't actually his. Tang Yikai blinked in confusion. Ning Feng leaned forward and pressed him on where exactly they had gotten that from. Tang Yikai clarified it came in as a consignment from the Azure Sharp Guild for auction and nervously asked if there was some issue. Ning Feng brooded on how the Azure Sharp Guild stood as one of the nation's 7 elite guilds with terrifying influence, and he wondered whether Xu Wei had slipped the prescription to them behind his back or if something had happened to him. He then demanded if they had ever mentioned where the potion truly originated. Tang Yikai remarked with casual certainty that he caught wind of a newly unearthed type of secret realm called the Trial of the Gods, one that only allowed a lone explorer, and apparently it stretched into countless floors, with rewards granted after clearing each set of 10 trials, the prescription being one prize their members had managed to snatch from within. Duan admitted it was the very first time he had ever heard about such a realm, and pressed whether it might be just another twist in the mess of secret realm anomalies, though he added that by regulation all realms under exploration had to be registered, and the basics could be pulled from the official site. Ning Feng figured it was fine so long as Xu Wei hadn't stumbled into trouble, and quietly admitted that the Trial of the Gods carried a frighteningly grand ring to it. All at once, the system hammered him with a notification that he now bore a mission to conquer the Trial Secret Realm and claim its strength for himself within 60 days, failure meaning nothing less than his erasure. He realized with a jolt that this marked the very first mission the system had thrown his way. So clearly the Trial of the Gods held weight, worth noting. He turned to Tang Yikai and explained that he wouldn't be attending that auction after all, though he still valued the effort spent. And Tang Yikai replied it was no trouble whatsoever, and that if he ever needed anything, he could always reach out. He mused how those bottles of experience potions were supposed to be the auction's crown jewels, with guilds salivating over them, yet he hadn't even blinked at the chance. Duan suddenly suggested Ning Feng linger to chat while he himself gathered intel on the secret realm, but Ning Feng countered that he would tag along as well. Not long after, Duan was already digging through the website. He pointed out the need for login clearance, though he could use a special credential that Zhang Ji had slipped him. Ning Feng leaned in and urged him to let him take a look, and Duan answered that he got it. Ning Feng noted bluntly that it resembled a tower. Duan explained that the Azure Sharp Guild possessed exclusive registration rights, meaning the officials granted them total autonomy over it, and no outsider had entry without their nod. Ning Feng conceded that such exclusivity was the usual deal for big guilds. Yet with eradication looming for failing a mission, he realized he had to carve out another option. Moments later, Ning Feng headed to the Trial Secret Realm. He wondered aloud whether guards were still pulling duty at such a late hour. He acknowledged that the Azure Sharp Guild had plastered their forum with info about the Trial Secret Realm to reel in stronger recruits, which definitely expanded his understanding, and he decided that slipping in directly with his skill should keep him hidden. He let out a grin. He then triggered Void Step to slip past the guards unnoticed. He warped straight to the entrance and even stuck his tongue out at the oblivious guards. He sprang forward in a rush to enter the realm, but a massive explosion erupted without warning. He froze in shock. The blast slammed with such force that the guards were hurled aside as well. Back inside Azure Sharp Guild headquarters, one member blurted out about the deafening blast and pressed for answers, while another shouted it came from the Trial Secret Realm, so they had to hurry. And still another resolved to report directly to the guild leader. Meanwhile, Ning Feng reappeared at the villa. He slipped into his bedroom with Void Step, bleeding from the nose as he stumbled headfirst out of the portal. He collapsed onto the bed and groaned through the pain. He demanded to know what the hell had just happened. He recalled how, the instant he neared the realm's entrance, an overwhelming energy erupted, crushing his filthy earth shell shield into dust. He too had been tossed aside like the guards in that moment. He puzzled over what in the world that force had been. Suddenly, the system fired a grim alert that it had resisted a probe but suffered 3% damage. It warned again that another 4% was lost, tallying total damage at 7%. Ning Feng barked that even the system had taken real harm. and demanded what kind of probing skill could punch through like that. The system kept spitting the same warning over and over until the total climbed to a brutal 34%. The Kangaroo Guild stood around the secret realm entrance in a tense but focused mood while checking on the dazed guards. One of the guild members busily applied healing with steady hands and confident energy. He turned toward the guild master and casually reported that the guards had only been knocked out by the shock and that their physical condition remained intact. One of the guards suddenly snapped awake, instantly registering the guild master's presence with startled clarity. Guild master He Shiyu pressed with a sharp curiosity about what had just unfolded. The guard responded with shaken confusion that he had no idea, because an abrupt explosion detonated at the entrance of the trial secret realm and knocked him unconscious. He Shiyu muttered with tight seriousness that the situation had never happened before, and probed if some strange anomaly might have affected the secret realm. Another guild member addressed him with a cautious suggestion to use that to inspect the situation and remarked that no better option existed. The lady raised her arms with controlled precision and formed a detailed magic array. She activated her time rewind with cool confidence. He Shiyu reflected with relief that the secret realm came equipped with a unique magic array capable of recording images inside and outside, while also allowing a full time rewind review. The timeline visibly reversed like moving water pulled backward by invisible hands. He Shiyu reacted with sharp shock at what showed up before him. He demanded with tight breath what that thing was. The secret realm deity voiced with divine dominance that the intruder was an outrageous evil deity and interrogated it for brazenly trespassing into his territory. He radiated an intense brilliance that clashed dramatically against the intruder's suffocating darkness. He gathered his concentrated light between his palms and launched it with fierce precision toward the evil deity. The evil deity vanished under that overwhelming blaze. He Shiyu and his guild members stared in stunned disbelief at the spectacle. The deity snarled with frustration that the target escaped again and ordered immediate pursuit because they could not allow him to destroy that world. They all froze with terrified disbelief at the possibility of world destruction. Moments later, the recorded scene of the evil deity appeared during a formal meeting. Liu Yingzhen, guild master of the Mighty Universe Guild, remarked that based on the Kongrui Guild footage, this became their first verified proof of an actual deity. Although the deity's true identity remained hidden, the spells released by them displayed strength, rumored to reach the legendary Forbidden Curses tier. Fang Zhou, guild master of the Era Guild, addressed He Shiyu with a pointed reminder that his reports once mentioned earning the deity's recognition and blessings by clearing the trial. And after confirming if his recollection stood correct, He Shiyu acknowledged that such details existed within the secret realm, but none of them expected a literal deity to appear. Yu Linghua, guild master of the Chuanshu Guild, remarked with grim calm that if even Forbidden Curse level spells failed to erase the evil deity, the situation spelled nothing good. Luo Yuening, guild master of the Wangshu Guild, agreed with heavy worry that if the evil deity truly intended to destroy the world, they probably lacked any method to counter it. Wang Bo, guild master of the Jianzhui Guild, inquired whether a possible countermeasure existed since clearing the trial could grant deities blessings, which might equal Forbidden Curse grade spells. Zheng Yanchuan, guild master of the Blazing Flame Guild, voiced that the idea sounded plausible and worth attempting. He Shiyu privately concluded that these people had coveted the trial secret realm for a long time and clearly planned to take advantage of this moment to push him into opening it for them. He then clarified that he held no objections to anyone attempting the trial, but sternly warned that the monsters inside the trial secret realm were overwhelmingly strong and far beyond their current battle ability, meaning they would fail. He admitted with sober caution that they still lacked the qualifications for the deity's blessing. Liu Yingzhen then directed a prompt toward Feng A for his stance. Feng A responded with light sarcasm about what stance he could possibly provide and questioned if each of them was not already highly capable. Liu Yingzhen commented casually that Feng A shouldn't be angry and they only dragged him back because something big blew up. He then pressed what level of chaos even counts as a major incident in his eyes if guarding them against mutants didn't qualify. Feng A, the former head of Solitary Shadow, explained that his apprentice reported strange anomalies in Qinyu City, which they brushed off, Yet they still formed an investigation team, and the outcome turned into no discoveries while they accidentally brewed a disaster. If not for the mysterious big shot of Chinyu City cleaning up their mess, they would have carried the stain of harming innocent folks. Liu Yingzhen reminded him with a half-teasing tone that he should cool down because his head was overheating again. Luo Yue Ning recalled that rumors claimed Feng Yi applied for retirement because of the painful price tied to the dark power. Yet surprisingly, he showed up again. Liu Yingzhen requested that Feng Yi personally contact his apprentice and have that footage delivered to the mysterious big shot of Chinyu City. And he added that maybe the big shot's capability could reveal something. Feng Yi questioned if he finally remembered his apprentice, but before his words landed, Liu Yingzhen hurriedly mentioned that he had 2 cases of fine wine ready for delivery, and his apprentice's commendation was about to pass approval. Feng Yi froze like he got blindsided. He regained composure and the burning frustration inside his head fizzled out. He then agreed without further resistance. Meanwhile, Ning Feng stayed inside the villa. He stared at his system screen while realizing the previous mission hadn't fully wrapped up and a fresh one already popped up. The mission instructed him to reach the second transformation for full system repair, and it slapped a 60-day deadline on it. He judged that based on the mission title No Big Deal, the system didn't seem bothered at all, even though it was damaged. But last night felt genuinely terrifying, and he doubted whether he messed something up. Suddenly, he questioned if they had a visitor. Feng Yi confirmed with half incredulity that he must be Ning Feng. Ning Feng offered a polite greeting and inquired who he was. Duan introduced him as the former head of Solitary Shadow and the current director of the Adventurers Management Bureau, Mr. Feng Yi. The other person turned out to be Miss Quan Lan, his disciple and the current provincial head of Solitary Shadow, and they wished to request assistance from the mysterious big shot. Ning Feng then inquired if he was the Red Flame Reaper. Feng Yi downplayed it as a fancy hollow title that didn't deserve spotlight. Ning Feng admired internally that the gentleman accomplished countless feats, joined major secret realm development, crushed many evil adventurer organizations, and earned the label of the strongest mutant. Almost all members of Solitary Shadow remained hidden, but he stood as an exception whose mere presence acted like a deterrent. And if young people picked idols, he easily placed top 3, so anyone chatting with him for even a few moments could brag forever. Feng Yi mentioned that he didn't prepare much for their first meeting, and he learned Ning Feng was close to taking his college entrance exam. So 5 million crystal coins and 200 bottles of high-tier experience potions had been officially entrusted to them for his benefit. Wishing him success, Ning Feng acknowledged that 5 million crystal coins felt insanely generous. He then questioned what business brought the 2 figures here. Feng Yi explained that their main goal was to request the big shot to watch a video, and since Ning Feng was present, they should all view it together. Quan Lan proceeded to play the recording. Ning Feng, the evil deity, reacted with gut-level horror. He wondered how he, a normal high school student and model youth, became labeled an evil god. He flared with anger when his mission titled No Big Deal resurfaced. He suspected the system was intentionally trying to trick him. He reminded himself to stay calm and avoid panic because no one realized the evil god was him, and he couldn't afford a slip-up. He responded that he understood, so he would forward the video to the big shot soon, and he would notify them quickly once anything surfaced. Feng Yi expressed gratitude for his help and mentioned that they would head back and await results, and if he needed assistance, he should reach out to Quan Lan. She then handed her contact information. Ning Feng recalled that she was the big sister responsible for handling his class change that day. It instantly made sense why he got exposed so fast. A short while later, Feng Yi remarked that Ning Feng truly matched Quan Lan's praise as a good person, modest and polite with stable nerves. So the official stance stated that if a chance arose, they should put full effort into recruiting him. She questioned if he believed Ning Feng and the mysterious big shot were the same individual. He countered by asking whether that detail mattered. He commented that since Ning Feng preferred to be regarded as a student, then he would be treated as a student, which benefited everyone. Giving 5 million crystal coins to a student, even if that student didn't care, counted as flawless etiquette, and if that student secretly turned out to be the mysterious big shot, no one could predict proper future treatment. The enemy continued to grow stronger, and as Hishiyu mentioned, they dreamed of receiving divine blessings. Yet, they didn't even qualify, so they should hope the mysterious big shot could become their strongest backing. Ning Feng was calmly sipping on his cup with an unfazed, almost lazy rhythm. He mulled over the eerie possibility that the detection ability compromising the system the other day might have been the deity secretly tracing his steps. He noted how the other party could shatter his absolute defense with one move, pointing out that his power had already climbed to the forbidden spell level, a dangerously terrifying opponent. He locked his priority on completing the 2 tasks issued by the system, with system repair ranked as the most critical because he still relied on it to mask himself from the deity's relentless search. He acknowledged that passing the trial could not be pushed aside, either because if the enemy's power failed to be harnessed for his use, it might flip into a direct threat. He casually checked with Duan if Feng A shared any further data, and Duan confirmed it with a prompt note that he would compile it immediately for him. The internal structure of the trial's secret realm mirrored a towering construction stacked with countless levels, and since no one had fully conquered it, the exact total remained uncertain. The monsters lurking inside held brutal strength, far surpassing other known secret realms, and the highest publicly recorded progress was the 42nd floor, achieved and maintained by the Kongrui Guild leader, He Shiyu. Ning Feng reflected that he still held no clear understanding of how the trial's secret realm operated, and if the deity's forbidden spell got triggered again, his evil god identity would be exposed. But since the task never specified personal presence, he privately wondered if delegation could be the solution. He casually checked if Duan viewed the challenge video featuring He Shiyu, and Duan affirmed it. Ning Feng then probed how many levels Duan estimated he himself could reach if he ran the challenge. Duan responded with a calm prediction that he could probably reach around 35 levels. Ning Feng internally acknowledged that He Shiyu was indeed close to a 5th transformation powerhouse, stronger than Duan, but since he was one of their own, only personal participation would reassure him. He quietly toyed with the idea of arranging a tailored special training session for him. The next day, Feng A reacted with clear surprise. He questioned if the boss actually intended to dispatch someone to the Kongrui Guild for the trial. Quanlan clarified that it stemmed from Duan's reply, and he also made a request to borrow their training room because he needed a period of exclusive special training. He casually recalled that Duan still had not reached the 5th transformation stage yet, and while he checked if he got it right, she confirmed it with a simple yes. He remarked with mild excitement that things were about to get interesting. He mentioned how the leaders of the 7 great guilds attempted to challenge the trial's secret realm the other day, and he teased her to guess the result. He pointed out that even Liu Yingzhen, the so-called old ghost, did not achieve success. She voiced that he ranked as one of the nation's strongest powerhouses. He expressed that this was exactly why he was curious about Duan's result and how far someone directly guided by the mysterious boss could reach. But then, his head throbbed again with that unwelcome familiar pain. She speculated that the flame was likely the price the teacher endured, endlessly burning away his life. She contemplated whether a solution existed to ease that burden. A short while later, they regrouped inside the training room. Captain Zhou remarked that multiple 4th transformation and 5th transformation powerhouses gathered there, and Qinyu City had never witnessed such a dramatic scene. Meanwhile, Quan Lane's assistant mentioned that others claimed Liu Yingzhen wanted to come as well, but got forcefully stopped by Feng Yi. Captain Zhou suddenly remembered the moment he asked what Ning Feng was doing while everyone else was slaying monsters and leveling up. He felt relieved that he never offended Ning Feng back then, or he would have landed himself in serious trouble. Quan Lan then explained that the training room could simulate countless combat environments if sufficient information was provided, and it could only be accessed by 4th transformation and above powerhouses. Duan confirmed that every piece of detailed information was ready. Ning Feng noted that it was his first time coming there, and Feng A casually remarked that it was nothing special, and if he preferred, they even possessed superior facilities. Quan Lan immediately operated the data system. She commented that its precision reached absurd standards, with every monster weakness clearly listed, and she mentally marveled that even data on the dozen or so levels cleared by Liu Yingzhen could be found there. Ning Feng acknowledged inwardly that the secret realm once suffered invasion from the Demon Lord, so he only needed to pull information from his memory, and he mused that no one would understand the Demon Lord's subordinates better than the Demon Lord himself. Feng A checked if Duan minded them watching, and Duan remarked that it would actually be an honor to receive more guidance. But Feng A clarified that he arrived to learn instead of instruct, and he hinted that they desperately wanted an answer to another curiosity. He inquired if the boss ever mentioned whether the evil god would truly destroy the world. Quanlan froze in complete shock. She stood there, stunned, and staring blankly at the two men. At his villa, Du-an pressed Ning Feng on whether the evil god would really wipe out the world. Ning Feng figured that asking him, the so-called evil god, that straight to his face, this guy sure knew how to pick his audience. Du-an, being one of theirs, made a simple no sound way too cold. Yet explaining more wasn't an option, so he mulled over how to answer. In the present, Du-an mentioned he'd asked his boss the same thing before and got an 8-character reply. Feng-A leaned in, wanting to know what it was. Du-an said the boss told him that as long as he was around, it wouldn't happen. Feng-A remarked that the delivery was low-key, but carried that quiet weight. That was just how the boss rolled. Quanlan wondered aloud what kind of monster of a powerhouse that boss must be to treat gods like small fry. Ning Feng figured he was lucky to think on his feet. Feng-A then said that the trial's secret realm ahead was all on Du-an's shoulders. Ning Feng and the rest watched from outside the training room. Du-an was already in there. He got slammed back and smashed into the wall. The monsters stalking toward him looked nasty and confident. Du-an shot them a sharp glare. They all lunged at him at once. He roared and charged right back. His energy exploded, shredding everything that came near. From outside, Ning Feng called out, asking if he wanted a breather. Du-an replied that he was fine. He'd rest a bit and give it a few more tries, thinking it was a chance the boss handed him, so he couldn't screw it up. Quanlan noted those monsters had already blown past the 4th transformation cap. If it were her, she'd have been toast. Meanwhile, Feng-A recalled Quanlan once saying that Ning Feng awakened at 18 and hit first transformation within days. So if he could do that, maybe Du-an could pull off a miracle too. And maybe the boss might crack the combat ceiling, letting Du-an unleash power on the level of a divine blessing. Ning Feng, though, muttered he'd oversimplified things, thinking that knowing the monster's weak spots was enough. But people, gear, and skills all had limits. Weaknesses didn't matter if you couldn't land a hit. He studied Du-an closely. He thought that if Du-an failed the trial, he'd have to finish it himself. But without battle experience, all he had were forbidden spells, and that risked blowing his cover. He then turned to Feng-A and Quanlan, saying he'd head out first since school was back next week, and he needed to get ready. Feng-A nodded, saying to just reach out if he needed backup. A bit later, Ning Feng noted he had better grind levels before classes started, maybe score stronger skills or gear to take to Du-an's place. He cut through a dark alley. He figured using a flying scroll was the cleanest way to move unseen. He had the remote exchange grab him a bunch, enough to last for now. Then, he shot into the sky at insane speed. Soon after, he landed at his target spot. He was already fully equipped. He muttered that he'd found it. It was one of the 2 wild secret realms Du-an mentioned, still off the grid from any official control. But there were clear signs of a recent fight around the place. He shrugged it off and decided to head in anyway. Gurong and his men were patrolling around the zone where the wild secret realm lay hidden. They had already wiped out every adventurer unlucky enough to cross paths with them. One of the members brought up that strange light earlier, and Gurong mentioned that it looked like a flying scroll. Another member wondered if it meant another fool had come to get themselves killed. Gurong muttered that those people never did anything except rush toward death, and the more that showed up, the more offerings they provided for their great demon lord. Thanks to their sacrifices, the demon lord had gathered enough power, and the day of his descent had finally arrived. They had reached that long-awaited moment. A fallen adventurer's corpse rested beside them as they spoke. None of them noticed the tiny listening device hidden beneath his shoulder armor. Another adventurer, far away, was picking up their conversation through her earpiece. She mentioned the demon lord's descent and muttered that it was a secret realm invasion. She turned to her captain, saying that those mutants were claiming the invasion would happen that day on the mountain. Another adventurer warned that such an invasion would corrupt the nearest city right away, asking if Changling City was in danger, while another pressed their captain for instructions. The captain replied that the Squad 4 had been completely wiped out, so even if they went up there, stopping the invasion was impossible. He grimly admitted that the monsters inside that secret realm were too powerful, and the city's magical barrier wouldn't withstand them. They simply couldn't defend it. He ordered everyone to head back at once, report to the authorities, and get the population evacuated to save as many lives as possible, prompting one adventurer to ask what he intended to do. The captain explained that without surveillance gear, they couldn't track the invasion's exact timing, so he would stay behind and report any changes immediately. One of them protested about leaving him alone, but he barked that they shouldn't waste another second and should move now. Everyone clenched their jaws and withdrew as told. The captain quietly wondered why fate demanded it. He then called his little girl. He told her that there might be an emergency drill soon, so she shouldn't be scared and should stay close to her mom. She asked where he was, and he told her he was at work, busy, and had to hang up right away. He ended the call fast, but she called him again. When he picked up, she scolded him for hanging up and said she wasn't done talking, so he gently asked what else she wanted to tell him. She wished him a happy birthday. Meanwhile, the other adventurers felt a surge of dreadful energy and murmured that the dark force was overwhelming. Had the invasion already begun? They grew anxious about what was happening on their captain's end. The captain, however, was crying silently. At the same time, the cult gathered at the entrance of the secret realm. Gurong exclaimed that the power was immense and that the demon lord would surely reward them with even greater favor. Inside the secret realm, Ning Feng was hard at work. He converted another skill into an active one, Extreme Cold, a dark forbidden curse that unleashed endless ice calamity. He noted that the monsters there granted huge experience points, shooting him up to level 37 instantly, which meant it was time to pick a new skill. He figured he should grab that tome without hesitation. Outside the wild, secret realm, the sky dimmed to a deep shadow. The entrance pulsed to life, humming with otherworldly power. Gurong strode forward, throwing praises toward the demon lord with practiced ease. But then Ning Feng stepped out, catching every eye in stunned silence. He looked around, confused by the strange reception. Shock flickered across his face when he noticed the demon cult kneeling before him. He demanded to know what was going on. Gurong frowned and demanded where the demon lord was. Meanwhile, the demon lord lingered inside the realm, convinced his reign had already ended. Gurong figured the stranger didn't recognize them, so he wasn't an incarnation or a hidden ally, but then wondered how that novice-looking guy dared to show up here alone. He recalled the flight scroll from earlier and guessed maybe the fool had come to swear allegiance, but chickened out after sensing the dreadful dark power. Without hesitation, he barked out if the newcomer came to join the demon lord. Ning Feng replied no, and when pressed for his purpose, he shot back that it wasn't Gurong's concern. Gurong scoffed at the arrogance and demanded if he knew who he was dealing with. He introduced himself as Gurong, an A-level fugitive, but Ning Feng cut him short with a cold retort. Either fight or vanish. Gurong sneered, promising the boy was begging for death. His followers howled in unison, urging him to kill. Then silence struck as the sky turned pitch black again. One of them whispered to Gurong, asking why it darkened, and he snapped that he didn't know. Terror rippled through the group when Ning Feng's body expanded into a colossal dark form. Someone gasped what kind of monster that was, while another stammered that it was horrifying and begged for help. Ning Feng announced that it was a newly forged forbidden spell and invited them to taste it. He triggered the active skill Tyrannical Vision, a dark, forbidden spell that dragged enemies into illusion. Through that power, Ning Feng dissected their flaws with eerie precision. The system flagged that Gurong's shoulder was damaged from overusing his skills, cutting his strength and agility by 5% and his skill output by 20%. Ning Feng noted how neatly the system revealed weaknesses, turning every flaw into a weapon. He lunged straight for Gurong's injured shoulder. Inside the illusion, he exploited weakness after weakness, torturing his foe like a predator toying with prey. No wonder the spell earned its grim name. Though the skill's cruelty was unnerving, the ability to expose vulnerabilities was too valuable to ignore. Moments later, the darkness lifted. The captain muttered that it was strange. After all that time, no secret realm invasion appeared on the mountain, so he decided to climb up and see. Didn't matter, he figured. If fate wanted him dead, it'd catch him at the base or the peak all the same. So he bolted toward the mountain. After a while, he called out for updates. Word came that A-level fugitive Ashen Blade, Gurong, and his men had all been annihilated. One adventurer gasped that 4 full teams had died catching him, and demanded if they were all just gone, while another asked the captain what was happening inside. The captain replied that the realm was sealed by a massive ice storm, not a single monster left moving. When asked about the boss, he said he'd smashed it. He'd found it frozen solid, and gave it a confirming stab just in case. The adventurer pressed if it was truly dead, and he admitted no loot dropped, no experience gained. So yeah, dead beyond question. The adventurer wondered if today's secret realm invasion still counted. The captain had no answer, just stood there, poking the frozen boss with a stick. Ning Feng called out to Duan, checking if he was still holed up in the training room and telling him to come back and chill for a bit. A moment later, Duan replied that he was stuck on the 45th level. His abilities weren't enough, and he didn't feel worthy of him. Ning Feng brushed it off, saying it was fine and that he should rest a few days. The main thing was understanding the trial secret realm. He'd line up a devil's special training for him next week. Duan pointed out that he hadn't given up on him, and Ning Feng replied, obviously not. Then Duan asked what he wanted for dinner and said he'd order right away. He was so hyped about the devil's special training that he started singing about it on his way out. Not long after, Ning Feng muttered that he might as well kill time with some games during the break. Out of nowhere, a message from Feng Yi popped up. He caught the notification instantly and frowned, confused. Feng Yi wondered if he was gaming and asked to tag along, claiming he was a solid tank player. Ning Feng shot back, asking if it was really Feng Yi or if someone had hacked him. Feng Yi dropped a voice message confirming it was him and suggested they queue up together. Ning Feng remarked that for someone who always looked so serious, he sure had unexpected hobbies, talking in that deadpan way. A few minutes later, they snagged a win. Ning Feng admitted he hadn't expected him to be that good. Feng Yi said he used to play with his grandson a lot, but the kid was swamped with college exam prep now. Then he mentioned that the two of them were about the same age. Ning Feng told him that next time they should run a trio, and Feng Yi agreed, calling it a deal. Ning Feng figured that since the guy was upright and held real authority, getting on his good side would make things smoother down the road. Feng Yi mentioned that soon 3 top universities were teaming up to hold a supernova training camp to pick out exceptional students. Those chosen would get in without exams and receive prime training resources, and he had 2 slots available, so he asked if he wanted in. At first, Ning Feng figured having a forbidden spell meant college didn't matter much, but realizing he'd be facing so-called gods someday with 0 battle experience made him rethink it. He said he wanted to go, and Feng Yi promised to hold both spots for him, adding that if he had a trusted teammate, they could register together. Ning Feng thanked him. Feng Yi noted that the 2 of them were alike. Maybe they'd end up good friends. The next day, Ning Feng showed up at Xinyu City 7th Middle School. He was in senior year, class 2. One classmate griped that even regular universities had raised the bar for combat majors that year, and another mentioned hearing that a bunch of students who couldn't meet standards had their graduations delayed or switched to non-combat tracks altogether. Someone else muttered that being a 3-star awakener didn't make them any better than 1- or 2-star losers, and another shot back that she wasn't okay with that. Suddenly, Chi-Wei walked in. She told everyone they had a transfer student joining and hoped they'd get along. The room went silent, everyone staring. Chang Muqi stepped forward and introduced herself. Ning Feng wondered if she was the same one who caused chaos in the secret realm last time. A classmate whispered that she was Chang Muqi, ranked 4th on the national supernova list, and asked how someone from a major city's elite school ended up in their small one. Chang Muqi turned to Chi-Wei and asked if she could sit next to Ning Feng. Chi-Wei said, sure. Chang Muqi walked over, looking nervous. The boys groaned, asking why it was always Ning Feng and why every pretty girl seemed to orbit him. Chang Muqi looked flustered while Ning Feng quietly studied her. Principal Feng and Principal Zhang were in the principal's office for a meeting. Principal Zhang pressed him about what trick he'd used to lure Chang Muqi away from their school, but Principal Feng urged him to calm down, claiming he truly didn't know anything. Principal Zhang remarked that not only had she left, but she'd also taken a training camp spot with her, and he demanded if he even grasped how that would hit their school's admission rate. Principal Feng figured that since there were only 4 training camp slots for the entire province that year, and 2 already belonged to their school, maybe with Chang Muqi added, they could snag 1 more. He figured no wonder Principal Zhang had shown up personally to demand answers. It was quite the windfall. Just then, Assistant Liu knocked on the door. Principal Feng told him to come in. Assistant Liu mentioned that someone wanted to see him and couldn't reach his phone. Principal Feng asked who it was and explained that he was discussing something with Principal Zhang, so his phone was on silent. Assistant Liu replied that it was Feng Yi from the Adventurers Management Bureau. Moments later, Feng Yi greeted Principal Feng and introduced himself. Principal Feng figured this was a real heavyweight, the kind usually seen only on TV. Feng Yi then introduced his grandson and Feng Rui greeted him. Principal Feng asked what he could do for him. Feng Yi mentioned he had 2 matters to discuss, and first his grandson planned to transfer to his school. Both principals nearly dropped their jaws, especially Principal Zhang. Principal Feng remembered that Feng Rui ranked 12th on the national supernova list, belonging to the dark class Blood Source Knight. Rumor had it he held back his dark power out of fear of losing control. Otherwise, he could have broken into the top 5. Meanwhile, Principal Zhang puzzled over why Feng Yi's grandson would choose such a low-profile school. And he figured that since everyone on the Supernova list already had a training camp spot, that meant Principal Feng's school just scored another one for free. Then Feng Yi mentioned that secondly, their bureau would be giving the school 2 training camp spots. Principal Zhang frowned, wondering why, since there were supposedly only 3 or 4 spots in the entire Backwater province, and what they all saw in that school. Principal Feng apologized to Principal Zhang, saying as he could see, things were quite busy, so he wouldn't keep him. He told Assistant Liu to escort him out, and just as Liu agreed, Principal Zhang told him to wait. A few moments later, Feng Yi and Feng Rui were seated inside the office. Principal Feng asked if those 2 slots were meant for Ning Feng from senior year, Class 2, noting that he'd only just awakened and questioned if he could even handle the training camp. Feng Yi replied that it was the Bureau's decision, so he didn't need to ask more, and Principal Feng agreed, promising full cooperation. Principal Feng figured that the Management Bureau, being independent from the 7 great guilds, held serious authority, and with Feng Yi's backing, anyone favored by them would have a limitless future. He couldn't help but wonder how Ning Feng got mixed into that circle. Soon after, everyone gathered in senior year, Class 2. Ning Feng looked utterly confused. Chang Mukui stood beside him, and Feng Rui lingered just behind. He asked how all 3 of them ended up transferring to their class. Xu Ting replied that they were just syncing up with the big shot, adding that she'd heard the school contacted Zhao Cheng, but he'd given up his spot, so she got it. Plus, the big shot gave Zhou Jiangshu one too, so the entire training camp lineup was there. Meanwhile, the tension between Wang Yue and Chang Mukui was thick. Zhou Jiangshu mentioned he'd heard of Feng Rui before, and Feng Rui thanked him, hoping Ning Feng and the rest would look after him. Chang Mukui figured she wasn't the only one drawn to big shot Ning Feng, which might get messy, so she needed to double her effort. She couldn't let him think little of her. She'd even prepared a gift for him and just needed the right time to give it. Everyone in class watched as Ning Feng got surrounded by top-tier students. One student wondered why he clicked so well with that group of supernovas. Another figured that even without him, that lineup was fancy enough to rival elite schools. And another quietly wished she could be the one chatting with him. On the other hand, Ning Feng figured the classroom had suddenly gotten pretty lively, but then he wondered what was going on with Zhao Cheng giving up his spot, and whether anyone even cared that he'd disappeared. Zhao Cheng's father was in the Zhao family estate, looking grim. The attendant reported there was still no word from the young master and wondered if they truly shouldn't report his absence. He replied that he had already reached out to a powerful figure to help with the investigation, and they'd likely hear something soon, so waiting a little longer would be best. He then asked about the situation at school, and the attendant mentioned he had taken a long leave for the young master, citing additional special training. The principal thought it was a shame to lose the training camp slot, but didn't question it further. He said he understood and would check Zhao Cheng's room himself, instructing that he not be disturbed unless necessary, to which the attendant agreed. He then went up the stairs. He opened the door to Zhao Cheng's room. He stepped inside. He stood before the wall covered in his son's pictures. He pressed a hand against one of them. A secret door slid open with a faint click. His expression stayed cold. He entered the hidden room where a dark stain of blood marked the floor. Meanwhile, Feng Rui handed a gift to Ning Feng. He mentioned that the skill book was a trophy from his latest exploits and suggested seeing if it could be useful. Ning Feng noted that it was a summoning spell and remarked that Summoner was an extremely rare class, making such books precious finds. Chang Muki chimed in that she had brought a gift too but felt outdone, muttering that the guy was too competitive. Ning Feng examined it and said it was a battle mage's skill, another rare profession, with its skill books equally hard to obtain. But he couldn't learn either of those for now because before the term began, he had gone to the second wild secret realm to train, only to find he couldn't enter. The system informed him the realm required a team of at least 5 to open. He felt that lacking proper intel made the trip pointless and left him without a new skill slot, though both books tempted him deeply, and he needed to cultivate more allies as future informants. He thanked them both for their generosity and admitted he didn't have much to give in return. Chang Mukui and Feng Rui were caught off guard when he handed them gifts in return. He said there were 40 bottles of high-tier experience potions and told them to split them evenly. Chang Mukui recalled hearing those were exclusive treasures of the Kangrui Guild, reserved for their inner members first. Feng Rui noted such items fetched huge sums at auction and were scarce, yet he was giving away 40 like it was nothing. The two silently agreed this was the kind of benefactor worth holding close. Wang Yue suddenly called him Big Brother and claimed she had a gift for him too, but Ning Feng told her that was unnecessary. He then asked what it was, and she revealed that Xu Wei had brewed a new potion and wanted her to deliver it. She showed him the vial. He blinked in surprise. A short while later, he returned to the villa. Duan wondered why he was back early, and Ning Feng explained that participants in the training camp could manage their schedules freely, and there wasn't much happening at school, so he came home ahead of time. Duan reminded him he'd mentioned putting him through devilish training that week, but hadn't brought it up since, so he was starting to wonder. Ning Feng said it was for him, prompting Duan to ask what he meant. Ning Feng told him it was a new potion called the Nourishing Elixir, made by Xu Wei, capable of healing old internal wounds, and urged him to drink one before beginning their devilish training. Duan thanked him sincerely, and Ning Feng waved it off. Without hesitation, Duan drank the elixir.